In the late 1960s, a series of chilling murders in Northern California captured the attention of the nation and became one of the most infamous unsolved mysteries in American history. The killer, who came to be known as the Zodiac Killer, taunted law enforcement and the media with cryptic letters and ciphers that both captivated and baffled the public. This story is not just about the gruesome acts themselves, but also about the intricate web of clues, theories, and the enduring question of who this person really was. The Zodiac Killer is believed to have committed at least 5 murders between 1968 and 1969, with some experts suggesting that the actual number could be much higher. The first confirmed victims were high school students Betty Lou Jensen and David Faraday, shot on December 20, 1968, near Vallejo, California. This initial attack would set off a chain of events that would leave investigators puzzled for decades. Just a few months later, in July 1969, another couple, Darlene Ferrin and Michael McGough, were brutally attacked in a secluded area. Darlene was killed, but Michael survived to provide a description that would later fuel countless theories. What makes this case particularly enigmatic are the letters the Zodiac Killer sent to various newspapers. His first letter was postmarked on July 31, 1969, and included a message bragging about the murders along with a cipher. This cipher was a complex combination of symbols and letters that challenged readers to decode it. Enthusiasts and amateur detectives across the country tried their hand at it. Eventually, 2 teachers, Donald and Betty Harden, were able to decode the 408-character cipher, which revealed a taunting message from the killer. The Zodiac hinted at his enjoyment in committing his crimes and claimed he would continue with his violence. Over the years, the Zodiac Killer's letters became an integral part of the mystery. He sent many correspondences, including one that contained an additional cipher, which remains unsolved to this day. In 1970, he wrote a letter that included a piece of blood-stained shirt from one of his victims, confirming his identity in a gruesome and terrifying manner. The letters were often laced with bizarre symbols and references, creating an aura of intrigue that led to intense media coverage. As investigators probed deeper into the mystery, they uncovered more unsettling details. The Zodiac Killer's modus operandi often involved careful planning and execution. He would stalk his victims, choosing locations that provided both opportunity and an element of isolation. Despite various leads, the lack of solid evidence and the killer's ability to evade capture turned the investigation into a frustrating puzzle. Witnesses often provided conflicting descriptions, and while some believed he was a local man, others speculated he could have traveled from outside the area, adding to the complexity of the case. The most notorious of the Zodiac's crimes occurred on July 4, 1969, when he attacked a young couple, Darlene Ferrin and Michael McGough, at Blue Rock Springs Park. After the attack, he called the police to report the incident, a chilling act that displayed his arrogance and taunting nature. Witnesses reported seeing a man with a distinctive look, a hood with a crosshair emblem, which led to further theories about his identity. Throughout the years, numerous suspects emerged, each bringing a new theory to the table. Some believed the Zodiac was Arthur Lee Allen, a convicted child molester who died in 1992. Although circumstantial evidence linked him to the murders, many experts argued there was not enough solid proof to definitively conclude he was the killer. Other names on the list include school teachers, military personnel, and even a former police officer, each with varying degrees of connection to the crimes. The mystery surrounding the Zodiac continues to be a topic of fascination for amateur sleuths and true crime enthusiasts alike. New advancements in forensic science, particularly DNA analysis, have sparked renewed interest in the case. In recent years, investigators have re-examined old evidence, hoping to uncover fresh leads that could finally put an end to the mystery. In 2020, a group of amateur detectives known as the Casebreakers announced that they had identified the Zodiac Killer, claiming that a man named Gary Francis Post was responsible for the crimes. Their assertion was based on circumstantial evidence and comparisons to existing evidence from the case. Although many were intrigued by this revelation, law enforcement agencies have not confirmed these claims, indicating that the mystery might still remain unsolved. The Zodiac Killer's story has had far-reaching implications, inspiring countless films, documentaries, and books. The fascination with the case is not just about the gruesome nature of the crimes, but also about the cultural landscape of America in the 1960s and 1970s. It reflects the fear and uncertainty many felt during that era, a time marked by social upheaval and distrust in government institutions. The case has become a symbol of unresolved truths and the boundaries between notoriety and infamy. As we explore the intricate layers of this mystery, it becomes clear that the Zodiac killer's legacy will endure long after the last clues have been examined. The chilling letters, the enigmatic ciphers, and the unanswered questions collectively contribute to a narrative that continues to haunt and captivate us. The efforts to uncover the truth reveal a persistent human desire for closure, highlighting how some mysteries can linger for generations, inviting continued exploration and discussion. The Zodiac killer's tale remains a dark chapter in American criminal history, illustrating how a single individual can create fear and confusion on such a grand scale. Through careful investigations, evolving technology, and the passion of those who seek answers, the hope for resolution persists. As we delve deeper into this haunting saga, we are reminded of the countless stories hidden within our past, each worthy of reflection and remembrance. Unlocking the enigma may not bring back the lost lives, but it will ensure that their stories are not forgotten, and the lessons gleaned from this tragic episode in history continue to be shared. The case of Jack the Ripper is one of the most intriguing and chilling stories in the annals of true crime. It all began in the fall of 1888 in the poverty-stricken neighborhoods of Whitechapel in London, a district shrouded in a cloak of fog and despair. The area was known for its overcrowded streets, dark alleyways, and a teeming underbelly of crime and vice. It was in this unsettling atmosphere that a series of horrific murders shocked the city and forced a wake-up call for a generation. The first victim, Mary Ann Nichols, was found early in the morning of August 31, 1888. She was a 43-year-old woman whose life had been marked by hardship and tragedy. The discovery of her body, with deep cuts to her throat and brutal mutilations to her abdomen, sent ripples of fear through the East End. What made the crime even more terrifying was the methodical way in which the murderer had attacked, suggesting a level of calmness and premeditation that was simply chilling. As the days passed, the city held its breath. Just a week later, on September 8th, the body of another woman, Annie Chapman, was discovered in the backyard of 29 Hanbury Street. She too was brutally attacked, her throat slashed and her body mutilated in a way that sent waves of panic through the community. Witnesses reported seeing a mysterious man lingering near the crime scene, but when descriptions were passed around, they varied greatly, adding to the difficulty of identifying the killer. The news of these violent acts began to spread, catching the attention of not only the local residents, but also the press and the entire nation. Police efforts intensified, but as more bodies were found, including Elizabeth Stride and Catherine Eddowes, two women murdered on the same night, an aura of hopelessness began to hang over the investigation. The killer was evading capture, despite the growing number of patrols and the involvement of detectives armed with new techniques for solving crimes. The name Jack the Ripper was coined through a letter sent to the press, allegedly from the murderer himself. The chilling tone of the letter, with its taunts and threats, created a media frenzy that further heightened public interest and fear. It was as if the killer thrived off the attention, leading to speculation and theories that spiraled out of control. Some believed that the Ripper was someone from within the community, a local man who understood the area intimately. Others thought he might be a doctor or someone with medical knowledge, given the precision of the mutilations. As the months passed, fear spread through the streets of Whitechapel, echoing in the short-lived hopes for safety among the local women. While the case was investigated, theories about the identity of Jack the Ripper flourished. Numerous suspects emerged over the years, including a prominent artist, a high-ranking member of society, and even a member of the British royal family. Every new lead sparked excitement and fear, capturing the imagination of not only Londoners, but also people around the world. The elusive nature of the Ripper turned the case into a cultural phenomenon, inspiring countless works of fiction, art, and analysis. The final canonical victim, Mary Jane Kelly, was found on November 9, 1888, in her own room, an act that struck a new chord of terror. This murder was more brutal than the others, showcasing horror that seemed to escalate with each crime. It was a gruesome culmination of the murderer's dark tendencies, leaving investigators struggling to comprehend the depths of human depravity. After Kelly's murder, the Ripper seemed to disappear, leaving no trace of his identity or whereabouts. While police continued to puzzle over the gruesome evidence and theories surrounding the killings, Jack the Ripper became a figure of legend, a ghost that haunted the streets of London long after the last act of violence. Public fascination with the case continued throughout the years, passing into legend and spawning countless stories and theories. Why did he stop? Was it the fear of capture? Or did he simply move on? The ambiguity surrounding the murders has led amateur sleuths and scholars alike to dig into historical records, hoping for new evidence that might finally reveal the true identity of this infamous figure. The Jack the Ripper case remains an enigma, a tantalizing mix of history, mystery, and horror that continues to fuel our imagination. From the cobblestone streets of Victorian London to modern-day discussions, the unsolved riddle of Jack the Ripper tells us about a society grappling with crime, fear, and the complexities of human nature. Each new interpretation keeps the story alive, drawing attention to the dark corners of humanity and the realities of life in the late 19th century. As you delve deeper into this dark chapter of history, consider the people beyond the headlines, the lives extinguished and the families left in despair. The victims, often marginalized by society, highlight a fracture in the fabric of London during this tumultuous period. Their stories deserve to be remembered not merely as statistics in a police report, but as elements of a larger narrative that stirred the psyche of a nation. In examining the Ripper case, one uncovers a wealth of information about the social conditions of the time, widespread poverty, the struggles of women, and the intersection of crime and public perception. The Ripper was not just a murderer. He became a reflection of societal fears, a representation of the unknown lurking in the shadows of everyday life. In conclusion, while the legend of Jack the Ripper endures, it serves as both a cautionary tale and a morbid fascination, reminding us of our vulnerabilities and the darkness within humanity. The case remains unsolved, but each piece of history reminds us that sometimes the most interesting stories are the ones that leave lingering questions, echoing through time and challenging us to seek deeper truths in our search for understanding. The shadow of Jack the Ripper looms large, not just as a terror from the past, but as a symbol of mystery that continues to capture the imagination of generations to come. The story of the Black Dahlia is one shrouded in mystery and intrigue, drawing people into the dark corners of crime and the human psyche. In 1947, a young woman named Elizabeth Short became the subject of one of the most infamous unsolved murders in American history. While at first glance her life may seem like that of an aspiring actress with big dreams, it is the tragic and brutal manner of her death that has secured her place in the annals of true crime lore. Elizabeth Short was born on July 29, 1924, in Hyde Park, Massachusetts. During her childhood, she was known for her beauty and charm, but her life took several tumultuous turns. After her parents' separation, Elizabeth moved to California in pursuit of a career in acting. Despite her talent and striking appearance, she struggled to land significant roles in Hollywood. However, she did attract attention and managed to make connections in the industry, albeit in an era that was far from welcoming to women seeking fame. The tale takes a dark turn on January 15, 1947. Elizabeth's lifeless body was discovered in a vacant lot in the Leimert Park neighborhood of Los Angeles. Her body was mutilated and displayed in a way that horrified those who encountered the scene. The news of this gruesome discovery quickly spread, capturing the attention of a nation already fascinated by crime and celebrity culture. Photographs of Elizabeth's body were published in the newspapers, and the case gained immense media coverage, leading reporters to dub her the Black Dahlia. The nickname Black Dahlia reportedly came from a popular film noir that was running in theaters at the time, but it also referenced Elizabeth's penchant for wearing dark clothing, particularly black. As the case unfolded, rumors and theories began to swirl surrounding her life and death. Was she involved with dangerous individuals? Did she cross paths with someone who had darker intentions? These questions fueled public interest, creating a narrative around Elizabeth that blended fact with speculation. The investigation revealed some disturbing details about Elizabeth's life. Police learned that she had been living a transient existence, moving from city to city and sometimes relying on the kindness of strangers for shelter. Despite her struggles, she remained hopeful about her future. Several witnesses claimed to have seen Elizabeth in the days leading up to her death, but their accounts were often conflicting, making it difficult for authorities to piece together her final days. As detectives worked tirelessly to determine the circumstances of Elizabeth's murder, they were met with a plethora of leads. Some were credible, while others veered into the realm of the absurd. Numerous confessions poured in from self-proclaimed killers, and theory after theory emerged. Each led investigators down different paths, but ultimately resulted in dead ends. A key component of the investigation was the autopsy report. The coroner revealed that Elizabeth had been subjected to unspeakable violence. Her body showed signs of severe trauma, including deep lacerations and organ removal. The brutal nature of the murder suggested not only a level of premeditation, but a perpetrator with a troubling psychological profile. Such insights into the crime fueled the public's fascination with the case, as they sought to understand who could commit such a heinous act. Not long after her body was found, the case gained even more notoriety when an anonymous letter arrived at the office of the Los Angeles Examiner. The sender claimed to be the killer and taunted police with the details of the crime. Such messages heightened the sensationalism of the case, as media outlets raced to report every new development. This led to a frenzy of speculation, creating a societal obsession with the murder that continues even today. Over the years, numerous theories have emerged regarding Elizabeth Short's death. Some people pointed to connections with prominent figures in the entertainment industry. Others proposed that Elizabeth may have been involved in a seedy underworld, with ties to gangs or even organized crime. These theories often reveal more about society's fascination with celebrity and scandal than they do about the actual events surrounding her murder. The names of potential suspects have been put forth over the years, completing the cycle of speculation and intrigue. Detectives have interviewed countless individuals in connection with the case, but no one has ever been definitively charged. This enduring mystery has sparked numerous books, documentaries, and movies exploring different angles of the story. Each retelling reveals new facets of Elizabeth's life while examining the darker sides of human nature. The impact of the Black Dahlia case on popular culture is undeniable. Elizabeth Short's tragic story has inspired countless works of fiction, art, and scholarship, demonstrating the depth of her influence. It compels people to explore the themes of aspiration and despair, showcasing the vulnerability that comes with seeking fame and recognition. The allure of Hollywood, seen through Elizabeth's eyes, becomes a reflection of both promise and peril. The Black Dahlia case has not only shaped the story of Elizabeth Short, but has also reflected societal attitudes towards women, violence, and mystery. It raises questions about the way society responds to tragedy and the need to understand the motives behind such brutal acts. In a sense, Elizabeth Short has become a symbol of the darker aspects of the American dream, where hope and despair often coexist. Decades later, the question remains, who was Elizabeth Short, and who was responsible for her death? With every passing year, new theories surface, and old ones gain renewed attention. The enduring nature of her case leaves an imprint on the collective consciousness, urging society to grapple with the intricacies of loss, identity, and the legacy of violence. As we navigate the shadows of this dark tale, it serves as a reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of compassion towards those whose stories remain incomplete. The Black Dahlia continues to loom large in the investigative landscape, challenging us to ponder the depths of human behavior and the lingering shadows that past crimes cast upon the present. When exploring narratives like these, we are invited to acknowledge the complexities of life and the myriad stories that shape our understanding of the world. The legacy of Elizabeth Short resonates through time, instilling within us a sense of curiosity and a desire for justice, hoping that one day the truth behind her tragic end may finally come to light. The disappearance of Maura Murray is a case that has captivated true crime enthusiasts and armchair detectives alike since it first unfolded in 2004. Maura, a 21-year-old nursing student at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, vanished under mysterious circumstances in a rural area of New Hampshire. The timeline of events leading to her disappearance paints a complex picture that has left many questions lingering in the air. On the evening of February 9, 2004, Maura packed her belongings and left her university. With an unknown destination in mind, she drove her 1996 Saturn sedan northward, eventually finding herself on a remote road in Haverhill, New Hampshire. It was there, just before 7 p.m., that she lost control of her car and crashed into a snowbank. The accident itself was minor, and a passerby offered assistance. However, despite her car being immobilized, Maura was nowhere to be found. When authorities arrived at the scene, they discovered Maura's vehicle locked, with her personal belongings inside, including her cell phone, credit cards, and a laptop. More perplexing was the fact that she had not taken any of these items with her, nor had anyone seen her leave the area. To this day, many people wonder about the thoughts racing through Maura's mind when she decided to leave her car behind that night. Did she intend to flee to a place where she could start anew? Or was there another force at play, compelling her to leave everything behind? The timeline further confounds the mystery. In the days leading up to her disappearance, Maura exhibited unusual behavior. She had visited a liquor store earlier on the day of her disappearance, purchasing alcohol, which raises questions about her state of mind. Moreover, she had been involved in a series of stress-inducing events, including academic pressures and a recent car accident. The combination of these factors adds layers of complexity to understanding her decision-making process at that moment. Although exhaustive searches were conducted in the area surrounding Haverhill, no trace of Maura was ever found. Search parties combed through dense woods and snow-covered trails, relying on volunteers and local authorities. With each passing day, hope diminished, leaving investigators and her family in a state of profound uncertainty. The local community rallied around the cause, organizing events and maintaining awareness of the case, but time continued to slip away without resolution. The investigation into Maura's disappearance also revealed connections that deepened the intrigue. Some theories suggested that she might have planned her vanishing act, intending to start fresh away from the pressures of her life. There is speculation that she had confided in friends about wanting to escape, which further adds to the enigma surrounding her choice to leave. Other theories consider the possibility of foul play, questioning the circumstances of her accident and what could have happened in the span of time after the crash. Witnesses reported seeing a young woman matching Maura's description in the area after the crash site was cleared, but no credible leads ever materialized. This became a frustrating reality for investigators and family members alike. Maura's case, which once seemed solvable, transformed into an enduring mystery that resonated with the public. Her family tirelessly worked to keep her story alive, utilizing social media and public forums as platforms for awareness. As years passed, the case evolved from a missing person report to a cold case, but it never left the public eye. Podcasts, documentaries, and online communities sprung up, all seeking to uncover what happened to Maura that fateful evening. Many contributors analyzed her life, her decisions leading up to the disappearance, and the psychological factors at play. The notion that someone could disappear without a trace raises many existential questions. It prompts discussions about identity, personal struggles, and the lengths one might go to find peace. The case of Maura Murray invites us to consider not just the facts, but the human aspects of fear, despair, and the search for freedom. As theories emerge and evolve, new details continue to surface, enhancing the tapestry of this poignant story. Maura's case remains outstanding, with each passing year bringing new interest and the potential for renewed investigation. Cold cases often take on a life of their own as people search for connections that may not have been considered previously. The collective effort to keep Maura's story alive embodies the hope that one day the truth might surface, bringing resolution to those who have been affected by her disappearance. In this quest for answers, the impact on those who knew Maura is profound. Families of missing persons often endure a heavy emotional burden as they grapple with uncertainty and heartache. The effort to keep the memory and story alive is a testament to the love and determination of family members, who strive to ensure their loved ones are not forgotten. As we reflect on the disappearance of Maura Murray, it serves as a reminder of the many unresolved mysteries that exist in our world. Each unsolved case holds a story that deserves to be heard. Through awareness, discussion, and community involvement, there's hope that one day these stories may conclude with clarity, justice, and peace for all involved. In the bustling city of New Orleans during the early months of 1918, a series of gruesome murders began to unfold, sending shockwaves through the community. This haunting tale revolves around the infamous figure known only as the Axeman of New Orleans. As the mysterious killer roamed the streets, fear gripped the city, and a cloud of intrigue hung over the unsolved crimes. Let's delve into the details of these chilling events and explore the psychology of this enigmatic figure. The Axeman's reign of terror began on May 22, 1918, when he attacked a young couple, Joseph Maggio and his wife Catherine. The couple sustained vicious wounds, inflicted by an axe that did not belong to the attacker. This detail was particularly unsettling. It raised questions about the very nature of the crime. Who would enter another person's home and commit such a violent act with a weapon they had not brought themselves? As the investigation progressed, it became apparent that the Axeman had a distinctive method. Victims were often attacked in their own homes, typically in the early hours of the morning. The assailant would strike while they were asleep, using the axe to inflict fatal injuries. The gruesome nature of the acts drew attention, and the people of New Orleans were left in disbelief and horror. In June of the same year, a second attack occurred. Louis Beaumarchais and his mistress, renowned as a local singer, became targets of the Axeman's violence. Their lives were forever changed as they barely survived, suffering severe injuries. Local law enforcement was inundated with tips and rumors, but the identity of the killer remained shrouded in darkness. As reports of the Axeman's deeds spread, something unusual happened. In a city known for its music and vibrant nightlife, the atmosphere shifted. The growing fear transformed into curiosity and speculation. The Axeman became an urban legend, embodying the fears and fascinations of the people. The killer had even garnered a sort of eerie celebrity status, which spoke volumes about society's twisted fascination with violence. One of the most sensational moments of the Axeman saga came in March of 1919, when he sent a letter to the local newspaper, signed The Axeman. In it, he proclaimed his love for jazz music and declared that he planned to spare anyone playing jazz music on the night of his next strike. This bizarre twist elevated the legend, merging music with murder in an unsettling tableau of the times. The letter contributed to the lore surrounding the Axeman, as it seemed to taunt the police and provoke fear in the community. The Axeman's choice of weapon, the axe, had deeper connotations. In many ways, it became a symbol, representing not just physical violence, but also a psychological threat. The axe could be seen as a representation of a primal urge, a tool that demarcates the thin line between civilization and chaos. This perspective became a point of discussion among local intellectuals, as they attempted to psychoanalyze the motivations behind such brutality. Meanwhile, the city was in a state of unrest, struggling to maintain its daily life amidst the chaos. People began to take precautions, locking their doors and staying alert. Neighborhoods organized watch groups, hoping to catch a glimpse of the elusive killer. The widespread panic affected the local economy, as businesses took a hit due to the fears of potential victims and the unrest that pervaded. Officials were baffled by the fact that despite the shocking brutality of the murders, many victims were often found without a clear motive behind the attacks. This left room for speculation regarding the psychology of the Axeman. Was he driven by revenge, insanity, or simply a love for chaos? Attempting to understand the killer's mindset became a significant part of the investigation. Various theories emerged during this perplexing time. Some suggested that the Axeman had connections to the local mafia, while others speculated he might have been a disgruntled individual who had suffered a personal injustice. The crime wave accelerated panic and curiosity, as every corner of New Orleans held whispers of who might be hiding in the shadows. Eyewitness accounts came and went, but the truth remained elusive. As the months progressed, the murders began to dwindle, with only a handful of known victims meeting the Axeman's fate. Speculation abounded as to why the attack ceased. Had the Axeman moved on to another city, or perhaps he was imprisoned for a different crime? The minds of detectives and civilians alike turned to guessing where the perpetrator may be hiding. In 1919, the Axeman's last known victim was a woman named Rosalie. She was attacked viciously in her home, but unlike other victims, she fought back with a ferocity that shocked the perpetrator. This encounter ultimately became the turning point, as it led to a surge of interest in the case by local law enforcement and media alike. Though numerous theories and suspects were presented, the Axeman was never caught, nor formally identified. The city of New Orleans gradually returned to normalcy, but the legacy of the Axeman lingered long after the headlines faded. The killer became a part of the city's history, a dark figure in its folklore, and an enduring mystery that continues to spark fascination. In the years that followed, the tale of the Axeman inspired countless works of fiction and media. Movies, books, and even music were created to honor or reimagine the chilling events. The real-life mystery of the Axeman of New Orleans took on a life of its own, becoming a source of inspiration for dark narrative threads in pop culture. For many, the legend served as a reminder of how quickly fear can grip a community and alter its reality. The story of the Axeman raises broader questions about society, about the nature of fear, the fascination with true crime, and how history immortalizes those who evoke such strong emotions. The mystery surrounding these murders remains unsolved, leaving a haunting legacy that explores not just a killer, but the psychological currents that bubble beneath the surface of human existence. In conclusion, the tale of the Axeman of New Orleans embodies the intersection of fear, fascination, and the quest for understanding in a world often filled with chaos. It reminds us of the shadows that societies can hide, and the narratives that can emerge in the wake of terror, shaping the identity of cities and communities for generations to come. This tragic chapter of New Orleans history invites us to remember the complexities of human nature, and the stories that linger long after the events fade from memory. In the annals of American criminal history, few unsolved mysteries are as captivating as the story of D.B. Cooper. This tale begins on a chilly afternoon in November 1971, a date that would soon become legendary. As the sun dipped behind the horizon, a mysterious man stepped onto Northwest Airlines Flight 305, bound for Seattle, Washington. Dressed in a dark suit and tie, he was calm and collected, blending in seamlessly with the other passengers. Little did they know that this man, who would later be known by the alias D.B. Cooper, was about to embark on one of the most audacious criminal acts in American history. The flight, a relatively routine journey, was just getting underway when Cooper handed a note to a flight attendant, indicating that he had a bomb. The note specified his demands, 00000 in cash, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck standing by in Seattle so that the plane could be released for a safe getaway. Initially, the flight attendant dismissed the note, thinking it was a prank. However, upon reading the message and noticing a suspicious briefcase at Cooper's side, she quickly understood the gravity of the situation. The flight crew were notified, and soon, law enforcement was contacted. As the plane flew through the skies, the passengers were largely unaware of the unfolding crisis. Cooper kept his demeanor calm, even providing the flight crew with information about the bomb, though he never revealed its exact nature. The aircraft, carrying 36 passengers and 6 crew members, was redirected to Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. The FBI and local law enforcement swung into action, preparing to meet the plane as it landed. Upon landing, Cooper's demands were met, as authorities arranged for the ransom to be delivered. In a tense scene, Cooper received the cash and parachutes while allowing the passengers to disembark. The flight attendant and a few crew members were retained on the aircraft, creating a unique negotiation dynamic. Once the passengers were free, Cooper began to lay out his final instructions. He ordered the plane to take off again, this time heading toward Mexico City, with the back stairway open and the plane flying at low altitude and slow speed. The flight lifted off smoothly, and as it soared through the night skies, Cooper was finally given the green light to activate his plan. Moments into the flight, the situation shifted dramatically as Cooper made his move. He secured the money and parachute, positioned himself near the rear staircase, and then, in one bold, decisive action, he leaped into the darkness below. The exact moment of his departure is still a point of fascination and speculation, as witnesses on the plane reported nothing unusual until Cooper had vanished into the night. In the aftermath of this incredible heist, the investigation intensified. The FBI launched an extensive manhunt, scouring the area where Cooper had likely landed. They faced several challenges, notably the rugged terrain of the Pacific Northwest and the winter weather, which complicated search efforts. Investigators hoped that Cooper would leave clues behind or spend his ransom quickly. However, as the weeks turned into months, fatigue set in for those chasing the elusive skyjacker, and leads grew cold. While authorities were busy pursuing leads and interviewing potential witnesses, the case took unexpected turns. The FBI received dozens of tips from citizens convinced they had identified D.B. Cooper. Some of these tips involved comparisons to known criminals or characters from local lore. Throughout the years, theories abounded about Cooper's identity, with suggestions ranging from an experienced skydiver to a veteran with a military background. As time progressed, new developments occasionally gave the case life, with modern forensics and technology breathing new air into old evidence. In 1980, nearly a decade after the hijacking, a breakthrough occurred. A boy playing along the Columbia River stumbled upon a decaying package containing 0 bills, all sequentially numbered, which matched those given to Cooper. The discovery reignited interest in the case, leading the FBI to reconstruct the notes and attempt to trace them back to the recipient. This led to investigations into several leads, yet none could adequately explain Cooper's fate. The FBI's investigation continued, with various suspects being ruled out or deemed unlikely. Despite vast efforts, lifelong investigations, and several investigations through the decades, D.B. Cooper remains a ghost. The legend of Cooper only grew, becoming a part of American pop culture. Documentaries, books, and films dissected the case and chronicled the various theories about his true identity and whereabouts. Every conceivable theory emerged, from Cooper having been an experienced soldier to suggestions that he perished in the wilderness after a dangerous jump. None of these theories, however plausible, found definitive corroboration. As time went on, the FBI officially closed the case in 2016, claiming that the mystery had become an overwhelming burden on resources. Nevertheless, the fascination surrounding Cooper did not disappear. New generations continued to become intrigued by the story, fascinated by a man who successfully executed a high-stakes heist and vanished without a trace. To this day, there are countless discussions about what happened to D.B. Cooper after that fateful jump. Where did he land? Did he successfully escape? Did he have a hidden stash of the ransom money that was never discovered? The questions linger, begging for answers that may never come. Ultimately, the unanswered questions only add to his mystique, allowing the legendary figure of D.B. Cooper to soar through the skies of popular imagination, an extraordinary man from the shadows. The legacy of D.B. Cooper encapsulates a thrilling enigma, a modern folklore story that weaves together elements of daring bravery, cunning intelligence, and relentless pursuit, leaving behind an unforgettable mark on American history that resonates to this day. In retelling this story, people continue to marvel at how one calculated action propelled a man into infamy, a narrative reminding us of the thin line between chaos and calm, order and anarchy. D.B. Cooper's story remains a bizarre intersection of reality and legend, a poignant reminder of the unpredictable nature of the human experience and the mysteries that dwell within it. In 1970, an enigmatic case unfolded in Norway that has baffled detectives, historians, and enthusiasts alike for decades. This is the story of the Isdal woman, a mystery that raises questions about identity, fate, and the darker fears of human existence. On November 29, 1970, hikers in Isdal Valley, near Bergen, made a shocking discovery. They stumbled upon the charred remains of a woman on the mountainside. The unusual circumstances surrounding her death sparked an investigation that would uncover more questions than answers. When the police were called, they quickly realized that the situation was extraordinary. The woman's body was found in a remote area, secluded from the sight of the public paths and hiking trails. Most puzzling was the way her body had been burned beyond recognition. This prompted investigators to suspect foul play. Who was this woman? Why had she come to this desolate part of Norway, and how was her life intertwined with such a tragic end? The forensic analysis revealed further mysteries. Despite the destruction of her remains, it was determined that the woman had been between the ages of 25 and 40. She was of average height and had dark hair. However, there were no identifying documents with her remains. This raised the question of her identity. Could she be a missing person? Or was she someone who had deliberately concealed her true identity? As authorities investigated, they learned of strange markers surrounding the case. In her vicinity, they found several personal items. A suitcase that had been checked into a local hotel just a few days before the discovery and contained women's clothing and makeup. Yet, there were no papers, no identification, nothing that could lead them to her name or origin. Additionally, detectives found international currency in the suitcase, suggesting that she had traveled from far away. Witnesses from the hotel began coming forward. Some claimed she had appeared to be anxious or distressed. Others mentioned her using different names during her stay, which only raised further confusion about her true identity. She had also been seen in the company of a range of individuals, sometimes alone, sometimes in groups. Yet those who interacted with her noticed her behavior was peculiar, hinting at a struggle against unseen forces. The investigation took a turn when authorities discovered that the woman had likely been traveling throughout Europe before arriving in Norway. Her life seemed to intertwine with shadowy elements. This led detectives to consider the possibility of espionage, a notion that shook the core of the investigation. Was she a spy? A victim of a greater game between nations? Her various aliases pointed towards that very possibility. The autopsy results amplified the mystery. Although the cause of death was determined to be related to the fire, there were also traces of poison detected in her system. This only deepened the enigma. Had she been murdered, or was it a suicide? The presence of poison provoked an unsettling narrative about someone who, caught in a web of danger, took drastic measures. As the investigation continued, more layers emerged. The local media picked up on the story, generating broad interest both in Norway and beyond. News articles featured sketches and descriptions of the unidentified woman, while amateur sleuths and common citizens eagerly sought to solve the puzzle. It was a woman who remained a ghost, a figure wandering through whispers and secrets. In the years that followed, multiple theories surfaced regarding her identity. Some suggested she might have been a foreign national embroiled in international intrigue. Others focused on her possible ties to illicit activities or human trafficking. Each theory had its proponents, and led to extensive discussions about who the Isdal woman really was. In the midst of the frenzy, Norwegian authorities launched a serious investigation. They reached out to other nations, seeking collaboration in order to unravel the truth behind this mysterious woman. As leads came and went, detectives felt the weight of a cold trail slipping through their fingers. Efforts were made to compile all possible sightings of her across Europe and to connect them to her untimely end. For years, artists and writers became inspired by the mystery. The story of the Isdal woman infiltrated the cultural landscape, giving rise to novels, documentaries, and even paintings. Each rendition explored the theme of anonymity and the loss of identity, reflecting on the human experience of isolation and the desire to be remembered. In the wake of the investigation, the mystery began to solidify into folklore. The Isdal woman became more than just an unsolved case. She transformed into a symbol of the unknown, a reflection of those who slipped through the cracks of society. Her narrative touched on themes of loneliness, secrecy, and the drive to uncover truth, even when faced with insurmountable odds. Decades passed, and the search for identity continued, but the case grew cold. Yet, forensic technology evolved, offering fresh hopes for breakthroughs. In recent years, authorities revisited old evidence with modern techniques, including DNA analysis. Family members across the globe began submitting their DNA to help trace her lineage, reflecting a collective desire to put a name to a legacy that had been shrouded in shadows for so long. While the Isdal woman remains without a name, her story resonates, echoing across generations, crossing boundaries, and stirring hearts. She stands as a reminder of the mysteries that exist in the world, of the lives that weave intricate tales, and of the secrets that we, as a society, have yet to uncover. In delving into this case, we confront our own fears about mortality and anonymity. The Isdal woman encapsulates the essence of mystery in all its facets, the intrigue of the unknown, the yearning for understanding, and the pursuit of truth in a world filled with hidden narratives. Each fragment of her story speaks to the human condition, urging us to reflect on the ties that bind us and the unknown paths we navigate in our own lives. Nestled in the remote fields of Bavaria, Germany, lies a place that has captivated the imagination of many due to a shocking and mysterious event from history. This is the story of the Hinterkaifeck Murders, an eerie tale that still lingers in the minds of both locals and true crime enthusiasts nearly a century later. The year was 1922, and in the small farming community situated near the village of Kaifeck, a family would meet an untimely and brutal end, leaving behind a chilling legacy that remains unsolved to this day. The Gruber family, consisting of Andreas Gruber, his wife Cecilia, their widowed daughter Victoria, and her two children, Josef and Maria, lived a simple yet isolated life on their farm. The Hinterkaifeck farm was already known for its peculiarities, as some locals believed it was haunted. In the months leading up to the tragedy, strange occurrences played into the family's lives. Andreas Gruber mentioned hearing mysterious noises coming from the nearby woods. He discovered footprints in the snow leading from the forest to the farm, a haunting sign that someone might be watching them. But the family continued their daily routines, seemingly unaware of the impending doom. On a fateful evening in March, the family's lives took a disastrous turn. After receiving a decent amount of snowfall, the family carried on with their chores as usual. Neighbors began to grow concerned when the Grubers failed to make their regular visits to the village, where they often bought supplies and engaged in community interactions. A few days passed, and still there was no sign of the family. Eventually, a worried neighbor decided to investigate, only to discover the horrifying scene that awaited him. Upon entering the farmhouse, the neighbor found the lifeless bodies of the entire Gruber family, brutally murdered with a mattock, a type of farming tool that can inflict devastating blows. Their deaths were not only shocking due to the brutality, but were also marked by a sense of mystery. It quickly became evident that this was no random crime. It was rather a calculated act of violence that left many unanswered questions. As authorities began their investigation, the mystery deepened. The crime scene was sparse with evidence, leading them to theorize various possibilities for the motive behind these killings. Some speculated that it could have been an act of revenge, perhaps from someone who felt wronged by Andreas Gruber, who was known to be strict and somewhat reclusive. Others suggested that a robbery gone wrong could have been behind the murders, even though nothing of value appeared to be missing. Adding to the intrigue were the whispered tales of ghosts and spirits haunting the farm. Many believed that the spirits of the Gruber family still roamed the fields, trapped in their tragic fate. Tales circulated about sightings and strange sounds drifting through the night air along the dark Bavarian countryside. This folklore only fueled public interest in the case, as the story of the Hinterkaifeck Murders seeped into popular culture. Investigators pursued elusive leads that continued to provide little clarity. Over the years, countless theories about the murders have emerged, including suggestions of local involvement. Some theorize that the perpetrator was someone from the village who bore a grudge against the family. Others proposed that it could have been a drifter or transient who stumbled upon the farm and committed the heinous act. Each theory was fraught with its own inconsistencies, and authorities struggled to piece together an explanation. Despite extensive investigations, the murder case grew cold over time, slipping into the shadows of history. Various amateur sleuths have dedicated years to uncovering the truth behind that fateful night, combing through documents and old witness testimonies, but the nameless killer remained elusive. The lingering questions of who and why have created a lasting fascination around the event. The haunting legacy of Hinterkaifeck did not end with the investigation. Years after the murders, the farmhouse itself fell silent and abandoned. The community around it began to forget the tragic story, yet the legend never truly faded. Strangers who ventured near the site reported unnatural occurrences, leading to more folklore. Occasional daring individuals explored what remained of the house. The crumbling remains standing as a testament to the dark chapter in the region's history. The Hinterkaifeck murders have intrigued not just locals, but also historians, criminologists, and true crime fans worldwide. Documentaries and podcasts have explored the chilling mystery, delving into the family's lives and the forensic details of the crime. These narratives attempt to piece together the puzzle of that infamous night, sparking new discussions and theories as people work tirelessly to understand this layered enigma. As the years pass, the chilling mystery continues to grip the imagination. What happened on that fateful night? Who was responsible for this tragedy? And why was justice never served? The similarities to other cases of unsolved murders have drawn parallels, but none reflect such a haunting narrative as that of the Gruber family, cut down in the prime of their lives, in what should have been a peaceful farmhouse at the heart of the Bavarian countryside. The tale of the Hinterkaifeck murders remains a poignant reminder of the darkness that can lurk behind the facade of everyday life. It serves as a chilling snapshot of a simpler time turned sinister, and its unanswered questions continue to haunt the realm of public consciousness. The story sends a message that echoes through history. Truth can sometimes be more terrifying than fiction. In reflecting upon this dark chapter, it becomes clear that beneath the layers of a tragic event lies a reminder of the fragility of life and the unknown forces that can intersect our paths in unexpected ways. The Hinterkaifeck murders, with their lingering mysteries and haunting legacies, will forever remain an unsolved riddle wrapped in a chilling narrative, invoking both fear and curiosity for generations to come. The case of Tupac Shakur's murder is one that continues to capture the imaginations of fans and true crime enthusiasts alike. On September 7, 1996, the legendary rapper and cultural icon was fatally wounded in a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas, a city known for its glitz and glamour but also for its shadows and mysteries. Tupac, often referred to as Tupac, was a figure who transcended music. He was a voice for social change, a poet, a provocateur, and ultimately, a symbol of the struggles faced by so many in America. To understand the intrigue surrounding his murder, we must first delve into the life and legacy of Tupac Shakur. Born on June 16, 1971, in East Harlem, New York, Tupac's upbringing was marked by adversity. His mother, Afeni Shakur, was a member of the Black Panther Party, and her activism greatly influenced Tupac's musical direction. As he grew older, Tupac became known not just for his powerful lyrics, which often reflected the harsh realities of life in the inner city, but also for his charismatic and sometimes controversial public persona. In the years leading up to that fateful night, Tupac was embroiled in various conflicts, both personal and professional. He had feuds with other prominent figures in the hip-hop community, including the notorious B.I.G. and Sean Combs. These tensions gained notoriety and often sparked rumors of a brewing rivalry that seemed to overshadow the music they created. This backdrop of hostility adds layers to the investigation of his untimely death, creating a narrative rich in potential motives. On the evening of September 7th, Tupac attended a Mike Tyson boxing match at the MGM Grand. The excitement of the event filled the air with an electric buzz, and Tupac, always a larger-than-life personality, was in high spirits. However, the night took a dark turn. After the fight, Tupac was involved in an altercation in the casino with associate Orlando Anderson, a member of a rival gang. Witnesses reported a heated confrontation, but at the time it seemed to be just another moment in the tumultuous life of the rapper. Shortly after the altercation, Tupac and his entourage, including Death Row Records CEO Suge Knight, left the MGM Grand and began their drive along the Las Vegas Strip. In the early hours of September 8th, a white Cadillac pulled up alongside Tupac's vehicle at a stoplight, and shots rang out. 4 bullets struck Tupac. Despite the best efforts of medical staff, he succumbed to his injuries 6 days later, on September 13th. This tragic incident left many unanswered questions. Who was responsible for Tupac's murder? Was it a result of gang rivalry, or was there something more convoluted at play? Investigators were quick to acknowledge the labyrinthine nature of the case. Unlike many others, this investigation was hindered by a lack of cooperation from witnesses. Those who were present during the shooting largely refused to come forward, leaving law enforcement with a series of cryptic clues and incomplete leads. Several theories have emerged over the years, and each adds its own twist to the story. One prominent theory suggests that the shooting was a direct retaliation for the earlier confrontation at the MGM Grand, a violent response to what was perceived as a slight against Anderson and his associates. This rivalry highlights the dangerous intersections of gang culture and fame, shedding light on the extraordinarily high stakes involved. Another theory points to the possibility that Tupac's murder was orchestrated by powerful figures within the music industry. The world of hip-hop in the 1990s was rife with competition, and the battles between East Coast and West Coast rappers created a toxic atmosphere. Some speculate that individuals within the industry had motives to eliminate Tupac due to his rising influence and outspoken nature. This theory raises ethical questions about the dynamics of fame and power and how they can sometimes bleed into real-world violence. As the years passed, the case remained cold, and the media continued to sensationalize the narrative surrounding Tupac's life and death. Documentaries, books, and countless articles have been dedicated to unpacking the mystery, but tangible evidence leading to a resolution has remained elusive. Over the years, various individuals claimed to have information about the murder, yet little has been verified and no arrests were made. In the years following Tupac's death, the culture of hip-hop continued to evolve. His influence remained undeniable, and artists constantly paid homage to his contributions. Discussions surrounding his murder often intersected with broader conversations about violence, fame, and the struggle of artists grappling with their identities in a world that often feels adversarial. Tupac's legacy lives on through his music, which continues to resonate with new generations of fans. His songs tackled themes of poverty, violence, and resilience, and they remain as impactful now as they were during his lifetime. Tracks like Dear Mama, Changes, and California Love not only showcase his multifaceted talent, but also remind listeners of the person behind the legend. As we consider the ongoing mystery of Tupac Shakur's murder, we are confronted with questions of morality, justice, and the human experience itself. In a world filled with uncertainties, his story urges us to examine the narratives we construct around fame, violence, and legacy. While we may never uncover all the truths behind Tupac's tragic end, the exploration of his life and death continues to hold a mirror to our collective consciousness. In conclusion, the investigation into Tupac Shakur's murder is more than just a tale of a fallen star. It is a reflection of societal struggles and the complicated intersections of art and life. As we delve deeper into this mystery, we remember not just the circumstances of his death, but the enduring power of his voice and the messages he shared with the world. Though the case remains unsolved, the legacy of Tupac Shakur continues to inspire questions and discussions that transcend the complexities of his time. His art lives on, encouraging fans to engage, reflect, and question the narratives that define us. On May 3, 2007, a young girl named Madeleine McCann was reported missing from her family's holiday apartment in Praia da Luz, Portugal. Her disappearance not only captured the attention of locals, but also sent shockwaves around the globe. The McCann family, originally from England, had been enjoying a vacation in the Algarve region, a popular destination known for its beautiful beaches and warm weather. Madeleine's parents, Kate and Jerry McCann, dined with friends at a nearby restaurant while their 3 children, including Madeleine, slept in the apartment. They checked on the children frequently, ensuring they were safe and sound. However, when Kate checked on them around 10 p.m., she discovered that Madeleine was missing. The window was open, and the front door was ajar. Panic set in as the couple realized their daughter had vanished. Immediately, the McCanns raised the alarm, and the local authorities began a frantic search for the little girl. The Portuguese police initiated their investigation, and the news of Madeleine's disappearance spread rapidly through the media. Reporters flocked to the scene, and the story soon became an international sensation. In an age dominated by media and communication, the case ignited debates over child safety, parental responsibility, and the responsibility of law enforcement. As the days turned into weeks, the case became increasingly complex. The Portuguese police pursued multiple leads and conducted numerous interviews with locals and tourists alike. They even undertook extensive searches of the surrounding area, including the beach and nearby wilderness. Despite these efforts, there were no solid leads to follow, and little concrete evidence to guide them. The McCann family worked tirelessly to keep their daughter's case in the public spotlight. They appeared in interviews and on television, sharing their story and appealing for information. Their efforts inspired many people who began organizing searches, rallies, and fundraising events to help in the quest to locate Madeleine. The family became advocates for child safety, establishing foundations and supporting similar cases. As the investigation continued, several theories emerged regarding Madeleine's disappearance. Some suggested she had been abducted by a stranger, while others speculated that she could have wandered off or been part of a more complex trafficking scheme. Various sightings of Madeleine were reported across Europe, but none were confirmed. As the years passed, the case faced several setbacks. The Portuguese police closed their investigation after a few months, citing a lack of evidence. The McCann family sought assistance from Scotland Yard, which eventually reopened the inquiry in 2011, leading to renewed interest and several new lines of investigation. The case remains one of the most high-profile missing person cases in history, drawing attention from media outlets and true crime enthusiasts alike. In 2019, German authorities announced they were investigating a suspect connected to the case, stating that they believed Madeleine was dead. Although this news devastated the McCann family, they continued to hold on to hope, advocating that there were still unanswered questions and potential leads to pursue. Their resilience became emblematic of parental love and determination. Throughout the years, the McCann case prompted discussions about the importance of child protection, the ethics of media coverage, and the challenges of international law enforcement cooperation. Child safety advocates utilized Madeleine's story to push for legislative changes regarding missing children and increased public awareness of child abduction dangers. Numerous documentaries and articles have been produced, examining the case, examining the media frenzy, the resultant impact on the McCann family, and the broader implications of such tragic events. The disappearance of Madeleine McCann continues to be a topic of intrigue and sorrow. Though the years have passed and new developments have surfaced, her case remains open and unresolved. It serves as a reminder of the deep complexities surrounding such incidents, highlighting the never-ending search for answers and the enduring hope of a family yearning for closure. The world watches, captivated and heartbroken as the story unfolds, hoping that one day answers will emerge in the tragic tale of Madeleine McCann. The Long Island serial killer case is a haunting and perplexing mystery that has captivated the public and instigated numerous theories since its inception. It all began in 2010, when the first discovery of a body was made along Ocean Parkway, a scenic route that runs along the southern coast of Long Island, New York. As investigators peeled back the layers of this grim case, they uncovered a pattern that suggested they were dealing with a serial killer, someone who is responsible for taking multiple lives. The initial victim, identified as Shannon Gilbert, was a young woman who had been reported missing. While searching for her, police stumbled upon a series of other bodies, all linked to the same area. Over the ensuing months and years, the total number of discovered bodies grew, reaching 10 in total. Each victim had been found within a close radius of one another, along the desolate stretches of the highway, which only added to the eerie nature of the investigation. The victims were predominantly young women, many of whom were involved in sex work. This commonality sparked outrage and concern about the vulnerability of these individuals and highlighted a troubling societal issue. Each story of the victims offers a glimpse into their lives, their struggles, and the circumstances that may have led to their tragic fate. Names like Maureen Brainerd Barnes, Melissa Barthélemy, and Megan Waterman emerged as the public learned about their lives, their hopes, and the heartbreaking realities they faced. One astonishing element of this case is the apparent lack of progress in finding the killer. Despite the extensive investigation involving local police, state authorities, and even the FBI, little concrete evidence has emerged to point to a suspect. This has prompted numerous theories, discussions, and even criticisms regarding the investigation methods used to solve the case. There has been speculation about whether the killer might have ties to the local community, potentially making it easier for him to evade detection. Investigators have released various pieces of evidence over the years, including telephone records, but these leads have not yielded the breakthroughs that many hoped for. The chilling silence of the killer has only heightened the horror of the entire situation, leaving families of the victims without answers and the community in turmoil. As the investigation unfolded, several residents along Long Island's South Shore became part of the story as well. The chilling realization that a murderer could potentially be living among them bred fear and anxiety. Some locals even became amateur sleuths, trying to piece together connections that might lead to the apprehension of the person responsible for these tragedies. Yet, with each passing year without a resolution, the case seems to drift further into the realm of cold cases. Various documentaries, podcasts, and articles have sought to shed light on the case, each bringing its own perspective and theories. These media portrayals highlight the ongoing fascination and frustration surrounding the Long Island serial killer, igniting public interest and discussions. Engagement on platforms like social media brings new voices into the conversation, each contributing to the collective quest for answers. One of the most disturbing aspects of this case is the psychology behind serial killers. Experts have extensively researched the motivations, backgrounds, and patterns of behavior that might lead someone to commit such heinous acts. Various theories have emerged regarding the profile of the Long Island serial killer. Some suggest he may have a specific trigger, perhaps related to his upbringing or personal experiences, that incites him to target women in vulnerable situations. In addition, there are discussions about the possibility of a second suspect being involved. Some believe that the complexity and planning involved in hiding multiple bodies could indicate collaboration. This theory further complicates the case and leaves investigators with an even larger puzzle to solve. The investigation has not only drawn attention to the victims and their families, but also to the broader issues of violence against women and the significance of addressing systemic issues related to sex work and homelessness. The narrative surrounding the Long Island serial killer extends beyond just a search for the person responsible. It has evolved into a discussion about society's responsibilities to its most vulnerable members. As time goes on, the case remains open, with periodic updates and renewed efforts from law enforcement to generate leads and push the investigation forward. There have been renewed calls for tips from the public, urging anyone with information, no matter how seemingly insignificant, to come forward. The hope is that, eventually, someone will provide that crucial piece of information, leading to an arrest that could bring some measure of closure to the victims' families. The Long Island serial killer case stands as a haunting reminder of the fragility of life and the ongoing battle for justice. As the families of the victims cling to hope, the desire to see justice served remains a powerful force. Each year that passes maintains the lingering question: who is the Long Island serial killer, and will they ever be brought to justice? In this case, the juxtaposition of a beautiful Long Island landscape against the backdrop of such horror creates an even deeper, unsettling atmosphere. Ocean Parkway, often depicted as a leisurely drive offering stunning views of the Atlantic Ocean, has become synonymous with tragedy. This duality serves to remind us not only of the dangers that can lurk in serene surroundings, but also of the importance of vigilance and awareness in our communities. The chilling nature of this case continues to resonate, not only because of the unresolved mystery, but also because of the broader implications it carries. It has sparked discussions on safety, societal responsibility, and the importance of protecting those most at risk. As investigators sift through evidence, theories, and witness statements, the hope, although dimmed by time, continues that justice will prevail and the truth will finally come to light. The story of the Long Island serial killer is not just a tale of unsolved crimes. It is a poignant reminder of lives lost, societal neglect, and the unending pursuit of truth and justice. As this unsettling chapter remains open, it serves as a call to action for communities everywhere to remain vigilant, support those who are marginalized, and to advocate for justice in all its forms. The Long Island serial killer case embodies not only the mystery of a serial murderer, but also the societal challenges and responsibilities that come with such tragic realities. The story of Elisa Lam, a young woman whose life ended in tragic circumstances, unfolds in a location steeped in history and mystery, the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles. A bright and adventurous student from Vancouver, Canada, Elisa made her way to California in January 2013, hoping to explore the sights and embark on a transformative journey. Little did she know, her travels would turn into an unnerving tale that captured the attention of the world. Elisa checked into the Cecil Hotel, a dwelling known for its checkered past and numerous dark tales. The hotel, located in the Skid Row neighborhood, had a reputation for being the scene of multiple tragedies and crimes over the decades. Once regarded as a bustling destination, it fell into disrepair and became associated with a darker side of urban life. This mismatched aesthetic of a previous grandeur, intertwined with a haunting atmosphere, adds a layer of intrigue to Elisa's story. During her stay, Elisa Lam reached out to her family regularly, and all seemed well until communication ceased. Concerned, her family reported her missing, prompting an extensive search. As the investigation unfolded, the hotel staff and authorities began to sift through the details of her last known whereabouts. Surveillance footage from the hotel showed Elisa in a surreal moment. The recording captured her exploring the corridors with an erratic and bewildering demeanor. She appeared to be hiding or playing a game, her movements fluid and unpredictable. At one moment, she peeked out of the elevator almost as if she were trying to escape or avoid someone unseen. The grainy footage raised questions and theories, as viewers struggled to decipher the confusion in her behavior. As the investigation continued, the search for Elisa intensified. She was described as vibrant and fun-loving, a person who shared her experiences through her blog and social media. Friends and family painted the portrait of a young woman with dreams and aspirations. Yet, the mystery grew as days passed without a trace. The hotel staff, once focused on their daily tasks, found the mystery to be both puzzling and haunting. What happened to Elisa Lam during her stay? Why did she seem so distressed in the footage? The breakthrough came after several days when the hotel staff began to notice the oddities associated with the water supply. Guests complained about low water pressure and strange tastes in the tap water. Their concerns led management to investigate the malfunction, and what they discovered contributed to the confusion. When maintenance workers opened the rooftop water tank, they were met with a horrifying sight: the body of Elisa Lam. The circumstances surrounding her death appeared bizarre. How had she ended up in the water tank, located on the rooftop of the hotel, and why had no one noticed her disappearance before the water supply issue? As the authorities conducted an autopsy, they discovered that Elisa had struggled with mental health issues, which had once been brought to light through her blog. However, the details of her final moments remained obscured. The autopsy reported drowning as the cause of death, but the questions loomed. What led her to the tank, and was she alone? The hotel's dark history began to surface as rumors circulated about paranormal activities and stories from former residents, creating an urban legend-like atmosphere surrounding her untimely death. Elisa's death sparked a wide range of reactions online. Social media exploded with theories and speculations, and forums became a hotbed for discussion. Some insisted she was a victim of foul play, while others believed she was caught in a web of her own struggles with reality and mental health. The video of her in the elevator circulated rapidly, stirring debates about the meaning behind her behavior. Was she in danger, or were her actions the product of paranoia exacerbated by her mental state? People became deeply invested in trying to solve the mystery, re-examining the footage in search of clues. They questioned everything: the timing of events, the people around her, and even the possibility of something beyond the ordinary influencing her fate. As weeks turned into months, the story of Elisa Lam remained in public discourse, evolving into a cautionary tale about mental health, travel, and safety. Several media outlets and documentaries attempted to bring her story to life, emphasizing the necessity of understanding and compassion for those grappling with their internal battles. The case spurred discussions about mental health awareness, shedding light on how society often overlooks individuals facing challenges unseen by the naked eye. The Cecil Hotel itself became a focal point, with its reputation compounded by the tragedy. People began to flock to the site, drawn by stories of the strange happenings, previously unknown among the general public. Discussions surrounding paranormal events lingered long after Elisa's death, with many believing the hotel was haunted by spirits of those who had met untimely demises within its walls. Sightings, unexplained noises, and an eerie aura contributed to the building's notoriety. Ghost hunters and urban explorers sought to capture the essence of the hotel's unsettling energy, further entrenching its identity as a place where the past never fully dissipated. In the years that followed, various representations of Elisa's story appeared across multiple media platforms, podcasts, documentaries, and even fictional adaptations. These retellings often approached the tale from different angles, exploring themes of vulnerability, societal expectations, and the search for meaning in chaotic circumstances. Each attempt to dissect her story added more layers to the already intricate tapestry woven by public interest, drawing larger conversations about the inherent complexities of life and the fragile nature of existence. Despite the collective intrigue surrounding her story, susceptibility to misunderstanding persisted, leading many to discuss the importance of treating such tragedies with sensitivity. People began advocating for mental health awareness, echoing the idea that conversations about mental health could foster empathy and understanding, potentially altering the course for others who find themselves facing daunting struggles. The enigmatic fate of Elisa Lam continues to be discussed today, not merely as a tale of mystery, but also as a poignant reminder about individuals seeking understanding in a world that sometimes overlooks the signs of distress. Those who delve into her story encounter the complexities of life, the myriad of factors influencing human behavior, and the delicate balance of seeking connection in an increasingly complex world. Through it all, Elisa Lam's story urges us not only to ponder the enigma of her demise, but also to reflect on how we can foster a more supportive environment for those wrestling with their demons. Her journey invites us to listen, understand, and act, promoting dialogue that resonates beyond the confines of her tragic end. In the shadow of the hotel's towering frame, the reflections of a young woman remain, echoing the need for compassion, awareness, and connection amidst an often uncaring world. The tale of Elisa lives on not just as a mystery, but as an enduring testament to the importance of kindness and understanding, elements that can illuminate the darkest corners of the human experience. On a sunny July day in 1974, a discovery was made in a remote area of the Cape Cod National Seashore in Provincetown, Massachusetts, that would ignite decades of mystery and speculation. The body of an unidentified woman was found lying face down on the beach, partially buried in the sand. This tragic event marked the beginning of a perplexing case that remains unsolved to this day. The woman became known as the Lady of the Dunes, a title that has since evoked curiosity and concern throughout the years. The circumstances surrounding her death were puzzling. The woman was between 20 and 40 years old, standing at around 5 foot 6 inches tall, with long blonde hair. Despite various efforts to identify her, including reconstructing her features in clay models and distributing her photos, she remained nameless for years. The condition of her body suggested that she had been there for some time, leading investigators to believe that this was not an isolated incident. It was evident that foul play was involved, as she had suffered from blunt force trauma and had been brutally murdered. As the investigation unfolded, it revealed a wealth of information about the victim and the surroundings. The area where her body was discovered was a popular spot for beachgoers, artists, and free spirits. It was a place where people sought solace and creative inspiration. The Cape Cod region was known for its natural beauty, with stunning shorelines and picturesque landscapes drawing in visitors from all over. Yet, beneath this serene facade lay the unsettling reality of an unsolved crime. Initial inquiries brought forth various leads. Witnesses reported seeing a woman matching her description in the days leading to her discovery, but no one could definitively identify her. Theories emerged about her origins, with some suggesting she might have been a local resident, while others speculated that she could have been a drifter or a visitor from afar. The lack of identification led to numerous hypotheses regarding her background and the circumstances that led to her tragic demise. As investigative efforts intensified, new developments emerged. Police released sketches and distributed details to the media, asking the public for help in solving the case. They explored numerous avenues, including connections to other unsolved murders and missing persons cases in the area. However, no substantial breakthroughs materialized. The case began to fade from the public eye, but it never lost its grip on those who had an interest in the macabre and the unsolved. One exciting twist in the story emerged in the early 1980s when a missing persons case in New York was brought to light. A woman named Marianne D. was reported missing, and her physical characteristics closely matched those of the Lady of the Dunes. Investigators pursued this line of inquiry, but ultimately it led to another dead end. Over the years, countless names and potential leads surfaced, but none could be conclusively tied to the woman found that day in Provincetown. In time, various theories began to circulate regarding the identity of the killer. Some speculated that she was a victim of a transient serial killer who had been operating in the area during the 1970s, while others entertained the thought that she may have been involved in organized crime. The complexity of the case widened as it drew in amateur sleuths and armchair detectives, each contributing their own personal theories and interpretations. The lack of closure for her family, if she had one, became a point of deep contention. During their pursuit of justice, the investigators' hope continually dwindled, yet they were unwavering in their dedication to unearthing the truth. In 1980, forensic scientists used early DNA technology in an attempt to identify the woman, but it would be years before the methodology was widely available. As the years continued to roll on, developments in technology sparked a renewed interest in the case. In the 2000s, advancements in forensic science offered new hope that cold cases could be revisited with a fresh perspective. Some of the evidence preserved from the crime scene was retested with the latest DNA techniques. This rekindled a flame of hope among those who longed for answers, as investigators sought to uncover the secrets that had remained buried for too long. Meanwhile, the fascination with the Lady of the Dunes inspired various media narratives. Authors and filmmakers attempted to explore the story surrounding her mystery, dramatizing potential scenarios, and delving into the societal implications of unresolved cases. Documentaries, podcasts, and articles resurrected the haunting tale, inviting new generations to contemplate the mystery of this unidentified woman found in such a serene setting. The Lady of the Dunes transcended her tragic fate, evolving into a symbol of the unsolved in the annals of criminal history. Time has passed, and yet the Lady of the Dunes remains a fixture in Cape Cod lore, a reminder that not all stories end with closure. The investigation is a testament to the dedication of those who continue seeking answers, underscoring a reality that many cases remain unresolved. As stories about missing individuals continue to surface, they echo the plight of this woman, compelling us to reflect on the lives that go unaccounted for. The Lady of the Dunes is more than just a case. She represents a part of the human experience that evokes empathy and curiosity. Her story encourages individuals to delve into the narratives that shape criminal psychology and the societal impacts of unsolved mysteries. The intrigue surrounding her identity and the circumstances of her murder remind us of the fragility of life and the urgent need for persistent inquiry. In the heart of Provincetown, a monument stands, honoring the unidentified woman. Her story has captured the attention and imagination of not only the local community, but also people nationwide, as they seek to give a voice to those who have been silenced. The Lady of the Dunes case serves as a beacon for detective work, a reminder of the importance of forensic advancements, and a call to those who might hold the final pieces of this perplexing puzzle. Through the years, the challenge remains, unraveling a story shrouded in uncertainty but ignited by a persistent desire for justice. The Lady of the Dunes exemplifies a phenomenon that extends beyond her identity. She is a reminder of the countless unknowns that exist in our world, stories waiting to be told, mysteries yearning to be solved. As the debates and discussions continue, one thing is clear: she has not been forgotten, and her legacy lives on in the quest for truth. The unresolved nature of her case leaves open a door, inviting us to remain vigilant in our pursuit of justice for those who can no longer speak for themselves. In October of 2009, a mystery unfolded in the quiet wooded hills of eastern Oklahoma. In the small town of Eufaula, the Jamison family, Bobby, Sherilyn, and their 6-year-old daughter Madison, vanished without a trace. Their disappearance has left a haunting mark on the community and raised questions that still linger in the air today. On the day they went missing, the Jamisons drove to a remote area known as Panola Mountain. This picturesque location invites visitors with its lush greenery and serene landscapes, making it an ideal spot for families seeking adventure and connection to nature. However, beneath its beauty lay an unsettling aura that many did not notice. The family had been seen earlier that day at a local convenience store, where they purchased some snacks and seemingly prepared for their outing. Witnesses later recalled seeing them leave, cheerful and optimistic, but that would be the last confirmed sighting of the Jamisons. As the evening fell, the unsettling absence of their presence became evident, and concern began to grow. Once the family was reported missing, search efforts took off rapidly. The local police initiated an extensive search operation, scouring the rugged terrain of the mountains with the aid of trained search dogs and volunteers from the community. Day turned into night, and the search revealed nothing. Days turned into weeks. Yet still, there was no sign of the Jamison family. The search efforts extended beyond the immediate area, with authorities examining roads, fields, and wooded areas, but each effort returned empty-handed. Remarkably, a few weeks after their disappearance, the authorities discovered the Jamison family's truck abandoned near the search site. The truck, a 2007 white Dodge, offered clues but also deepened the mystery. Inside, they found personal belongings, including wallets, phones, and Madison's favorite blanket. The inclusion of their items sparked a myriad of questions. Why had they left their vehicle? Why would they abandon their belongings? Where could they possibly have gone? As the investigation unfolded, some eerie aspects emerged about the Jamison family. Friends and acquaintances described Bobby and Sherilyn as a loving couple, yet some hinted at deeper complexities in their lives. Bobby had reportedly voiced concerns about being followed, expressing a sense of paranoia in the months leading up to their disappearance. This sensational claim raised eyebrows and led investigators down various speculative paths. Legal complications further complicated the case. Bobby and Sherilyn had recently been involved in a custody dispute regarding Madison, which some considered a motive for a possible, albeit unlikely, disappearance to escape their struggles. There were whispers of financial troubles as well, and several witnesses noted erratic behavior prior to the fateful trip. Yet there was no concrete evidence to suggest they intentionally vanished, so each angle of the investigation only led to more dead ends. As time passed without new developments, theories sprang up. Some suggested that the family might have fallen victim to foul play in the wilderness, perhaps abducted by someone with ill intentions. Others believed they could have encountered an accident in the mountains, their bodies hidden from sight. Then, there were those who envisioned a more sinister scenario involving a pact or a radical escape from reality. Despite the passage of years, the case remained open, and investigators continued to pursue every lead that emerged. Family members, too, sought answers. They held vigils, displayed missing person posters, and collaborated with media outlets, eager to keep the Jamison family story alive. The mystery captivated the nation, attracting amateur sleuths and true crime enthusiasts alike. Podcasts and documentaries emerged, poring over every clip of grainy footage and exploring every hypothesis surrounding their disappearance. In 2013, 4 years after the family was last seen, a significant development startled both the community and investigators. The remains of Bobby and Sherilyn Jamison were discovered in the woods, near where their truck had been abandoned. Authorities were shocked to uncover such grim evidence, and yet, the mystery only deepened as Madison's whereabouts remained unknown. The couple's bodies showed evidence of malnutrition, raising further questions. What had happened to them in those final days? The circumstances surrounding their deaths remained unclear, and the search for Madison continued. She was still missing. Years went by with no sign of Madison. Efforts to locate her continued, fueled by hope and desperation. Investigators examined potential leads, poring over sightings and tips from the public. Many feared the worst, but some held on to the belief that Madison could still be out there, living a life unknown to the world. Each new tip brought a flicker of hope, igniting more searches that painstakingly trailed through various jurisdictions. The Jamison family story continues to haunt those who hear it. Eufaula, their hometown, remains a quiet town. Locals still recount the tragic story, and whenever children play in the woods or families gather for outdoor activities, echoes of the Jamisons linger. They were a family surrounded by love, cut short by an inexplicable turn of events, and their disappearance remains etched in the hearts and minds of many. Decades may pass, but there is a certain twinge that remains, a reminder that some mysteries in life go unanswered. The Jamison family's absence serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of existence. Their case is not merely a timeline of events, but rather an illustration of how quickly life's precious moments can slip away. In the ever-evolving landscape of mystery and stories that capture our imagination, the legacy of the Jamison family lives on, urging everyone to remember them and reflect on the mysteries that may never find resolution. The story of Ed Gein is one that intertwines horror and the macabre, taking us into the dark corners of the human psyche. Born in 1906 in La Crosse, Wisconsin, Edward Gein was initially raised in a strict and oppressive household by his mother, Augusta. She was a devoutly religious woman who instilled in him a deep disdain for women, particularly those she perceived as sinful. After the death of his father and brother, Ed became increasingly isolated, living alone with his mother until her death in 1945. Following the loss of his mother, Ed's already fragile mental state began to unravel. He found himself yearning for connection and companionship, though his experiences with social interaction were limited and often twisted. The world outside was changing, yet Ed remained fixated on his childhood home, which served as both a refuge and a prison. Ed's descent into darkness began in the early 1950s. In 1957, the disappearance of local hardware store owner Bernice Worden set the stage for the shocking revelations that would follow. Authorities had received reports about missing items from Worden's shop, and when they arrived at Ed's home to search for clues, they stumbled upon an unimaginable scene. Inside Ed's farmhouse, they discovered evidence of grotesque acts, remnants of human remains, which would later terrify the nation. Investigators found that Ed had a bizarre compulsion to create items from human body parts. He had made a lampshade from skin, and a belt made from female nipples, among many other horrifying items. It was as though Ed had transformed into a macabre artist, channeling his troubled psyche into the creation of objects that mirrored his twisted worldview. What drove Ed Gein to commit such gruesome acts? Psychologists pointed to his deeply dysfunctional upbringing, suggesting that his mother's extreme beliefs shaped his perception of women and intimacy. In the absence of healthy relationships, Ed's mind began to fracture, leading him to believe that he could bring his deceased mother back to life by recreating her form from the bodies of others. His delusions manifested in his grotesque behaviors, as he exhumed corpses from local graveyards, meticulously stripping away skin and flesh to craft his twisted artifacts. Despite the horror of his actions, Ed Gein's case is often remembered for its profound effects on popular culture. His story inspired several fictional characters, most notably Norman Bates in Psycho, Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and even Buffalo Bill in The Silence of the Lambs. Each of these characters echoes aspects of Ed's complex nature, blending his crimes with themes of alienation, obsession, and identity. Ed Gein became not only a notorious figure in American criminal history, but also a symbol of the darkness that can exist within the human mind. As the legal and social systems sought to understand and contain him, Ed's life revealed the complexities of mental illness and the often devastating consequences of untreated psychological trauma. His trial in 1968 concluded with a verdict of not guilty by reason of insanity, leading to his confinement in psychiatric institutions rather than a conventional prison. Throughout his life, Ed evaded true accountability for his actions, raising essential questions about morality, justice, and the societal responsibility to address mental health issues before they spiral into tragedy. Ed spent the rest of his days in mental health facilities, where he was a mix of notorious and tragic. He died in 1984 at the age of 77, leaving behind a legacy steeped in horror and intrigue. The peculiar case of Ed Gein continues to captivate audiences, serving as a reminder of the darkness within humanity and the complex interplay of environment, mental illness, and societal perceptions. As we explore his story, we remain mindful of the fragility of the human mind and the potential for unimaginable actions hidden within. Gein's story does not end with his passing. The items he created were either destroyed or preserved in museums, serving as artifacts of a disturbed mind. They invite questions: what drives a person to such extremes? How do we reconcile our understanding of him with our sense of morality and justice? This enigma pushes us to explore the depths of human nature, pondering what separates sanity from madness and exploring the fine line between fascination and horror. In reflecting on Ed Gein's life, we confront fears, those of the unknown, the unseen, and the often overlooked complexities within ourselves and those around us. His life is a case study in how isolation can distort reality, and how societal factors contribute to the shaping of one's identity. As we delve deeper into his story, we discover layers of disturbing truth, mingled with unsettling questions about the world we live in. The case of Ed Gein reminds us to approach the subject of crime with compassion and understanding, recognizing the myriad of circumstances that can lead individuals down paths of destruction. Each narrative carries its own unique weight, compelling us to remain vigilant in our commitment to care for each other and to advocate for mental health awareness and support. Through Ed Gein's life and crimes, we are led to confront our own fears while exploring the delicate balance of sanity and madness that defines the human experience. Ultimately, his story is a cautionary tale, a reminder of the complexities of the human condition, and a spark for deep reflection on the nature of evil and the vulnerabilities that lie within us all. In the small town of Springfield, Missouri, a mystery unfolded that captured the attention of the nation and left many questions unanswered. It began on June 7, 1992, when 3 women, all connected by family and friendship, vanished without a trace. This case would come to be known as the Springfield Three, a puzzling enigma that remains unsolved to this very day. The missing women were 19-year-old Suzanne Streeter, who had just graduated from high school, her mother, 47-year-old Janice Streeter, who was known for her warm and caring nature, and a friend of Suzanne's, 18-year-old Kimberly Dorsey, who was described as bright and full of life. The trio had plans for the evening after graduation and were ultimately last seen together at a graduation party, celebrating the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. On June 7th, the next day, Janice was expected to attend an event for the local high school. Friends and family began to worry when she didn't show up. It wasn't long before panic set in as they tried to reach out to the women, only to discover that neither Suzanne nor Kimberly had returned home either. Their absence was unusual, as all 3 women were known for their reliability. Concerned loved ones quickly alerted the authorities, and a search was initiated. Upon entering the Streeter home, investigators found signs that something was not right. Janice's purse was left behind, and the front door was unlocked. The most unsettling clue was a disturbing scene in Suzanne's bedroom. The bed appeared to be unmade, and personal belongings were scattered about. This suggested that the women had not left willingly. Investigators discovered that Suzanne had packed a bag for an overnight trip, but there was no indication that she had ever made it to her destination. As the days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, the case only grew more perplexing. Numerous leads were followed, but none resolved the mystery. Over the years, several theories emerged about what might have happened to the Springfield Three. Was it a kidnapping, an accident, or perhaps something more sinister? Residents of Springfield were on high alert, fearing that a dangerous individual could be on the loose. Initially, investigators looked into the possibility of an abduction, but no witnesses came forward, and clothing or belongings to suggest a struggle at the scene were never discovered. In the absence of solid leads, rumors circulated in the community, causing a frenzy of speculation. Some townsfolk believed that the women might be hiding from their lives for various personal reasons. This theory seemed to be contradicted by the loving relationships they had with family and friends. As time went on, search efforts continued. Flyers with the women's photos were distributed, and appeals were made for anyone with information to come forward. Vigilant search parties scoured the nearby woods, parks, and waterways, even as the years passed by. Investigators pieced together timelines from the last known sightings, but each thread led to a dead end. What could have happened to Suzanne, Janice, and Kimberly? In the ongoing investigation, several potential suspects emerged. Law enforcement conducted interviews with known offenders in the area, scrutinizing relationships among friends, acquaintances, and family. However, all potential leads faded over time. Even promising suspects either had alibis or no concrete ties to the case. As the years slipped by, the Springfield Three became a prominent cold case. New theories continued to surface, fueled by the persistent curiosity of armchair detectives, amateur sleuths, and true crime enthusiasts. Some people suggested that the women had possibly been involved in a tragic accident that had gone unnoticed, while others believed that they had chosen to leave their old lives behind. These ideas often invoked intense debates, hinting at the intricate web of human behavior and motivation. With the advent of social media and modern communication tools, renewed interest in the case led to new campaigns to keep the memory of Suzanne, Janice, and Kimberly alive. Online forums and discussion groups became early digital archives where both seasoned investigators and newcomers would analyze the details, share their theories, and occasionally uncover fresh insight. Years turned into decades, but the hope remained alive. Family members never gave up on the search for the Springfield Three. Janice's husband and Suzanne's father, Steve Streeter, continued to speak about his love for the women and the heartache of not knowing their fate. He sought justice not only for his loved ones, but also for others like them. The case served as a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the unpredictable nature of human existence. As the strong sense of community and support for the families grew, so did the determination to find answers. Local authorities officially declared the case unsolved in 1996, but efforts to gather new information persisted. Each anniversary of their disappearance brought a fresh wave of media attention, and the public interest never waned, showcasing the empathetic nature of a community seeking resolution. From time to time, technological advances provided new ways to approach cold cases. Investigators revisited the Springfield Three with the hope that new forensic techniques, like DNA testing, could yield results. However, the challenges of time and the limited evidence made progress slow. Despite the passage of time, the Springfield Three story is a reflection of the deep-seated human desire for closure. As new generations became aware of the case, the ripple effects of those three women's lives echoed through Springfield and beyond. It remains a poignant reminder of the need to cherish those we love and the unwavering hope that threads through the fabric of human connection, urging us to seek the truth, even in the face of uncertainty. The case of the Springfield Three has left a significant mark on the town and on the hearts of many. No one knows what truly happened that day in June 1992. While stories may shift and theories may evolve, the legacies of Suzanne Streeter, Janice Streeter, and Kimberly Dorsey endure. Their disappearance is a haunting tale of mystery and loss, yet also a testament to the strength of family, community, and the enduring search for answers that continues to this very day. The Springfield Three belong to a narrative larger than their lives, one intertwined with the courage of those who refuse to forget them, who keep asking, keep searching, and keep hoping for the day when the truth will finally come to light. The Chicago Tylenol murders represent one of the most chilling and perplexing cases in American criminal history. In September 1982, 7 people in the Chicago area suffered tragic fates after consuming Tylenol, a common over-the-counter pain reliever. This series of deaths became a national crisis and stirred public unease surrounding the safety of consumer products. The events unfolded on a fateful day when individuals from different walks of life ingested capsules of extra-strength Tylenol, anticipating relief from headaches, colds, or other ailments. Little did they know that the capsules contained deadly cyanide, a potent poison that caused rapid and horrifying symptoms. The victims included a mother, her young child, and several others who had taken the same painkiller. Their deaths sent shockwaves through the community, leading to panic and concern about the safety of medication. In a desperate attempt to uncover the truth, authorities conducted investigations that would soon reveal the challenges of the case. The deaths were not linked to any specific brand or local pharmacy, making the situation even more unsettling. A thorough investigation revealed that the tainted capsules had been tampered with after they had left the manufacturing facility, which led to public fears about product safety. The case gained national attention as the media reported extensively on the growing conspiracy and fears surrounding consumer products. Families worried about taking over-the-counter medications, and many people rushed to toss out their Tylenol bottles. Stores faced a wave of returns, and some even stopped carrying the product altogether. It was a prime example of how quickly public perception can sway in times of crisis. Meanwhile, the Johnson & Johnson company, which produced Tylenol, launched its own investigation. They were determined to protect their customers and restore faith in their brand. Communication with the public became paramount, and the company urged consumers to be cautious and to look out for new packaging techniques. They introduced tamper-proof packaging that would eventually become a standard in the industry, setting a new precedent for consumer safety. As investigators dug deeper, they began to consider various theories about who could be behind this malevolent act. Some speculated that a disgruntled employee or a healthcare worker might have been responsible. Others suggested that the motivation might be financial gain, aiming to harm the reputation of a major corporation. The Chicago police, alongside the FBI, left no stone unturned. They followed countless leads, interviewed dozens of witnesses, and reconstructed the victims' final movements leading up to their deaths. Subsequent discussions centered around the modern landscape of product safety. The Tylenol murders heightened awareness about the potential for tampering and ignited debates surrounding regulation and protection for consumers. Families and healthcare professionals began to discuss the importance of vigilance and caution, as well as the steps they could take to minimize risks. As time passed without any new leads or substantive developments, the case turned cold. For years, the mystery surrounding the identity of the perpetrator haunted both law enforcement and the public. Numerous theories circulated, leading to investigations into potential suspects. Even as the years rolled on, several individuals emerged as possible candidates, but each promising line of inquiry led to dead ends. The Chicago Tylenol murders left a deep imprint on American society and prompted legislative changes aimed at improving safety standards. The product tampering legislation was introduced at both state and federal levels, creating stricter penalties for anyone attempting to harm consumers in this way. The legacy of the case shaped health and safety regulations in a way that has protected countless individuals. In the wake of the tragedy, loved ones of the victims established memorials and worked to raise awareness about product safety. This act of remembrance became a rallying cry for ensuring consumers are kept safe from preventable harms. Communities gathered, holding events and discussions focused on understanding risks and challenges surrounding product safety and consumer protection. Even decades later, the story of the Tylenol murders continues to echo through the halls of crime history, serving as a constant reminder of the vulnerability and fragility of safety in everyday life. Documentaries and books have explored the case, diving into the details and ramifications of those fateful days in September. Scholars and true crime enthusiasts alike have dissected the events surrounding the case, examining everything from investigative procedures to corporate responsibility. In conclusion, the Chicago Tylenol murders are a sobering reminder of the unseen dangers that can lurk within the commonplace. They evoke reflections not only on the immediate tragedies faced by families, but also a broader understanding of how society responded to fear and misinformation. This haunting mystery of the cyanide-laced Tylenol remains etched in our collective memory, teaching lessons about vigilance, accountability, and the vital importance of rigorous safety standards in protecting public health and well-being. The quest for answers continues, and while the truth may be buried in the shadows of history, the lessons learned from this grim chapter serve as an ever-present call to action for consumers, lawmakers, and corporations alike. Each step taken toward safety is a tribute to those who lost their lives. Their stories remind us of the importance of remaining vigilant and standing united against threats to public safety. The legacy of the Chicago Tylenol murders will always provoke thought and inspire change in society, forever altering how we view the world around us. In the early morning hours of January 17, 1956, a group of skilled criminals undertook a heist that would become legendary in the annals of American crime. This tale revolves around the Brinks garage in Boston, where the audacious robbery not only involved meticulous planning, but also left a lasting mark on the city and its residents. Although the heist was executed more than 60 years ago, it continues to capture the imaginations of many, primarily due to its astonishing details and the mystery that surrounds its resolution. To truly grasp the significance of this particular robbery, we need to consider the environment of mid-20th century America. The 1950s was a time of prosperity for many regions in the United States. The post-war era had led to a burgeoning economy, and cities like Boston were thriving. However, amidst this prosperity, crime rates also increased, providing fertile ground for those who wished to take advantage of others' success. Organized crime was a prominent player in this era, and banks and armored car services became prime targets. On that fateful morning, the events began to unfold in a manner that would have made it into the pages of a thrilling crime novel. As dawn broke over the city, a group of armed robbers descended on the Brinks garage. This was not a spontaneous decision, but rather the culmination of weeks, if not months, of planning. The heist was executed with an almost military precision. The robbers were not just any individuals. They were experienced criminals who knew exactly what they were doing. The robbers managed to evade security systems that were in place at the time, which were far less sophisticated compared to today's advanced technology. Their knowledge of the layout of the garage and its operations contributed to the success of their scheme. They quickly overwhelmed the small crew that was on duty, employing tactics that ensured they maintained the upper hand. Their planning was impeccable, allowing them to make off with an astonishing sum of over $1 million, a staggering amount in 1956. What made this heist particularly fascinating was not just the audacity of it, but the way it would come to be enveloped in mystery in the years that followed. After successfully executing the robbery, the criminals vanished without a trace. Authorities were left to piece together the circumstances surrounding the event, trying to determine how this group could have planned and executed such a bold theft. The investigation was extensive, involving numerous law enforcement agencies, including the Boston police and federal authorities. FBI agents sifted through a plethora of leads, interviewing witnesses and examining any potential evidence. However, despite their best efforts, the case became increasingly complicated. The criminals had left very little behind, and as time marched on, the trail grew colder. The absence of significant breakthroughs only intensified the enigma surrounding the robbery. Many theories circulated regarding the identities of the robbers and the whereabouts of the stolen money. Some speculated that the heist was the work of an organized crime syndicate operating in New England, while others believed it could have been the handiwork of local criminals with insider information. Over the years, countless names were tossed around, but none proved to be the definitive reveal that authorities sought. As the years passed, the Brinks robbery evolved from a criminal event into a cultural touchstone. It inspired articles, books, and even movies, cementing its status in popular culture. It reignited conversations around the nature of crime, criminal enterprises, and the psychology of those who orchestrate such bold robberies. The heist also sparked an interest in how security measures would evolve in response to such brazen acts. Several individuals have claimed responsibility for the Brinks robbery, suggesting they were part of the team that executed the daring theft. Yet, proving these claims has been an uphill battle, leaving the case open to speculation and theories. The public's fascination with the robbery continues unabated, not merely due to the large sum of money involved, but also because of the audacious nature of the crime and the compelling personalities believed to be behind it. What could possibly have happened to the stolen money? Rumors abound, suggesting it was hidden away in remote locations or converted into luxury goods. Some even speculated that members of the gang might have turned against one another, leading to a more dramatic fallout. The question remains tantalizingly unanswered, leaving amateur sleuths and conspiracy theorists alike to dream up wild theories regarding the fate of those millions. As decades passed, significant advances in forensic and investigative techniques have been developed. However, the cold case remains frustratingly elusive. It highlights how challenging it can be to solve crimes, especially those that have remained unsolved for years. The Brinks robbery serves as a reminder of how the past can linger in the minds of those who hear about it, whether they are historians, law enforcement officers, or everyday citizens intrigued by the allure of a thrilling heist. These factors combined have ensured that the story of the Brinks robbery will not soon be forgotten. It offers a glimpse into a world where crime is both a calculated business and a risky venture. It showcases the dedication and ingenuity of the criminals involved while simultaneously reminding the public of the robust responses from law enforcement agencies striving to uphold justice. While many heists have occurred throughout history, the Brinks robbery stands out due to its complexity and the enduring mystery surrounding it. The characters involved, the elaborate planning, and the sheer audacity of the crime give it an almost mythic quality. As individuals continue to study and analyze the events of that day, it serves as a reflection on society's indomitable curiosity about crime and the lengths to which some will go for the thrill of the chase, the allure of wealth, and the intricacies of their own stories. For generations to come, the shadow of the Brinks robbery will continue to loom large in the narratives of crime in America, captivating both experts and newcomers to the tale alike. In the early 1930s, Cleveland, Ohio, became the backdrop for one of America's most chilling and enigmatic series of crimes, known as the Cleveland Torso Murders. This harrowing chapter in the city's history featured a series of unsolved murders that captivated the public and horrified its residents. The victims, believed to number as many as 12, were predominantly transients or individuals living on the fringes of society during a time of economic hardship. The story begins in 1935 when the dismembered body of a man's torso was discovered in Kingsbury Run, a wooded area along the Cuyahoga River. The gruesome findings prompted a series of investigations that would ultimately uncover additional horrifying discoveries: disembodied heads, limbs, and more torsos, each revealing a shocking pattern of brutality and underlying macabre intrigue. Cleveland in the 1930s was a city marked by industrial growth, yet it faced a myriad of social issues, particularly during the Great Depression. As a result, many of the individuals who became victims of the torso killer were, in many ways, the invisible ones in society, those struggling with poverty, addiction, and displacement. Their stories often go unheard, making the mystery of their murders all the more haunting. The first major breakthrough came in September 1936, when police discovered a second torso in the same area. This led to a coordinated effort to uncover the identities of the victims and the whereabouts of the killer. Visibility was a challenge for the authorities. They lacked the advanced forensic capabilities we have today and relied heavily on witness testimonies that often led to dead ends. Interesting developments arose during the investigation, including public speculation and media frenzy surrounding the case. The local newspapers dubbed the unknown assailant the Mad Butcher of Kingsbury Run, and sensational headlines painted a vivid picture of fear and chaos gripping the city. Many theories emerged about the killer's possible identity, including suggestions that the murderer might be someone with a deep knowledge of anatomy, given the precision of the dismemberments. Efforts to solve the case intensified, reaching a peak when police enlisted the help of local citizens. Despite countless tips and leads, the investigation was often thwarted by the lack of concrete evidence and the ephemeral nature of the victims' lives. As many had little to no connection to the community, tracing their backgrounds proved to be incredibly challenging. One of the most compelling aspects of the Cleveland Torso Murders is the portrayal of the victims. Over the years, many victims were identified through the efforts of diligent detectives and medical examiners, but numerous cases remain unsolved. For instance, one of the last victims identified was a woman believed to be involved in a life of hardship and despair. Each of these individuals had dreams and hopes that were cut short, leaving a trail of sorrow and loss. The investigators scrutinized the patterns of the murders, drawing parallels with other homicides and suspected serial killings across the United States. Links were suggested to known criminals of the time, as well as comparisons to similar cases elsewhere, but nothing conclusively connected the dots back to a singular perpetrator. Various suspects emerged, including some with questionable mental health histories or those known to have violent tendencies, but no one was ever apprehended. The case brought forth debates about the ethics of sensationalism in media reporting. As the press covered the grisly details, some argued that it distorted public perception, contributing to the fear that gripped the community. The sensational nature of the murders blurred the lines between respectful remembrance of the victims and the lurid interest in the morbid details of their deaths. As the investigation limped forward, the city turned its attention to other pressing matters, causing the Torso Murders to gradually fade from urgent headlines. Yet, the enigma of these unsolved murders continued to lie in the shadows of Cleveland's history. For years, amateur sleuths, historians, and crime enthusiasts have sought to piece together the scattered fragments of evidence. Many have written books, created documentaries, and even discussed the implications of the killings in podcasts, keeping the story alive for new generations. In these retellings, the focus often shifts to the potential motivations behind the gruesome acts. The exploration of the human psyche and what drives someone to commit such horrific acts shifts the narrative from mere fascination with murder to a deeper understanding of societal failures and personal histories. The mystery surrounding the Cleveland Torso Murders serves as a chilling reminder of the darker sides of urban life during that era. It raises significant questions about justice and the ways in which society grapples with its forgotten members. Cleveland's reputation transformed from that of a booming industrial hub to one haunted by its darkest secrets and unsolved crimes. Despite the passage of time, the gruesome tale still evokes intrigue and horror alike. Each new investigation, whether it be academic, judicial, or artistic, continues to peel back layers of the mystery, compelling us to consider the victims not just as nameless bodies, but as human beings with stories that resonate through the echoes of history. In many ways, the legacy of the Cleveland Torso Murders continues to be felt today, prompting discussions around crime, justice, and the societal structures that exist to protect the vulnerable. The detectives who were involved in the case had hopes of solving the mystery, but as the years passed without progress, the shadows of Kingsbury Run remained. It is as though the killer, lurking in the depths of history, evades capture even now, the identity of the murderer still buried under decades of unanswered questions. The Cleveland Torso Murders stand as a haunting enigma, a narrative woven with threads of fear, loss, and societal indifference. The lives lost, the families forever altered, and the haunting specters of the crimes shape an important part of Cleveland's history, reminding us of the need to seek justice, understanding, and healing for those who have fallen through the cracks. Today, they live on not just as whispers of terror, but as stories that compel us to reflect on the fragility of life and the myriad ways in which history can intertwine with the living narratives of society. Ultimately, while the killer may remain at large, the memories of the victims endure, capturing our attention and urging us to look beyond the surface of horror towards a deeper understanding of humanity's journey. The Green River Killer is one of the most infamous serial killers in American history. Active primarily in the 1980s and early 1990s, This individual was responsible for the tragic deaths of numerous women in the Washington state area, particularly around the city of Seattle. The case captivated the nation, not only because of the gruesome nature of the crimes, but also due to the lengthy investigation and the eventual capture of the perpetrator. The story began in 1982, when the first bodies were discovered along the Green River, which runs through Washington state. The victims were predominantly young women, many of whom had fallen into vulnerable situations, often struggling with addiction or homelessness. This aspect added a layer of complexity and urgency to the investigation, as these women were often marginalized in society, and their disappearances received limited media attention initially. As the body count continued to rise, the authorities began to realize they were dealing with a serial killer. The victims were often found in clusters, and a pattern emerged. The killer was methodical, targeting women who were on the fringes of society. This realization prompted a full-scale investigation involving local law enforcement, the FBI, and countless volunteers who aimed to uncover the truth behind these heinous crimes. One of the hallmark features of this investigation was the use of advanced forensic techniques. During the time that the Green River Killer was active, forensic science was still developing, but investigators employed the methods available to them, including fingerprint analysis and early DNA testing. The evidence collected from the crime scenes played a crucial role in connecting the murders and narrowing down the list of possible suspects. As the investigation unfolded, the media began to cover the story more extensively. Newspapers and television stations reported on the cases, bringing attention to the faces of the victims and raising awareness around the issue of violence against women. Families of the victims spoke out, urging authorities to act swiftly and bring the killer to justice. This media attention helped to keep the case in public consciousness, and the fear of a serial killer on the loose gripped the communities affected. Green River Killer was not apprehended immediately. In fact, it would take years for law enforcement to identify the person responsible for these heinous acts. Gary Ridgway, a truck painter by profession, would later be arrested in 2001 after a lengthy investigation that involved the revisiting of old evidence and new technology. Authorities had long suspected he could be involved due to his proximity to many of the crime scenes and his alarming history. What set Ridgway apart from many other suspects was his ability to evade capture for such an extended period. He had a seemingly normal life, raising a family and working in a job that kept him out of the spotlight. Yet, beneath this facade lay a deeply troubled individual who had committed a shocking series of murders. Upon his arrest, the investigation into Ridgway's life revealed disturbing details about his motivations and methods. Ridgway confessed to killing 71 women, although authorities believe the number could be higher. His confession was chilling, as he described how he targeted vulnerable women, often luring them with promises of money for companionship. This predatory behavior highlighted a dark aspect of society, the exploitation of those who are most at risk. The impact of these crimes extended beyond the immediate victims. Families were left shattered, communities lived in fear, and trust was eroded. His case was unusual because he was willing to take a plea deal that would allow him to avoid the death penalty in exchange for providing information about the locations of more victims. This resolution of the case brought closure to some families, but it also sparked debate about justice and morality in the context of serial offenses. The plea deal underscored the complexities of the criminal justice system, regarding how society deals with individuals like Ridgway, who commit acts that are both unfathomably cruel and disturbingly calculated. Throughout the years, the narrative surrounding the Green River Killer has not only involved the horrific crimes he committed, but also the societal implications and the lessons learned from such a tragic series of events. The case led to major developments in how authorities approach cases of missing persons, particularly women who may be at higher risk due to circumstances that make them vulnerable. In the wake of these events, there was an increased focus on addressing the root causes of this vulnerability. Advocates fought for better resources for addiction, mental health services, and support systems for those in precarious situations. The discussions sparked by this case continue to resonate in contemporary society, reminding us of the importance of awareness, prevention, and support. Furthermore, the Green River Killer case has had a lasting impact on pop culture. Documentaries, books, and television shows have explored the chilling details of the investigation, the psychology of the killer, and the lives of the victims. These narratives often serve not only as a cautionary tale, but also as a reminder of the human stories behind the headlines. They bring attention to the lives cut short and the families forever changed by these events. As with many criminal cases that capture the public's imagination, the Green River Killer remains a topic of discussion and analysis. Each new generation discovers the grim legacy of this case, allowing for continued lessons in empathy, caution, and social awareness. The story serves as a haunting reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of vigilance in protecting those who may be more susceptible to violence. In conclusion, the Green River Killer stands as a significant figure in the annals of criminal history. His actions had far-reaching consequences, affecting countless lives and shaping conversations about crime, justice, and the vulnerabilities that exist within society. Though the case may now be over, its echoes continue to reverberate, urging society to remain aware and proactive in addressing the issues that contributed to these tragic events. The story of the Green River Killer is not just about the crimes. It's a complex tapestry interwoven with themes of humanity, societal failure, and the relentless pursuit of justice. The Villisca Axe Murders are often regarded as one of the most infamous unsolved cases in American history. This chilling event took place on the night of June 9, 1912, in the small town of Villisca, Iowa. On that fateful night, the Moore family, which consisted of parents Josiah and Sarah Moore and their 4 children, as well as 2 young girls who were friends of the family, visited the Moores' home for the night. The calm of a rural town was shattered when someone entered their home and committed an atrocious act that left the community in shock and disbelief. The victims included Josiah Moore, aged 43, his wife Sarah, aged 39, their children, Herman, 11 years old, Catherine, 9, Boyd, 7, and Paul, 5. In addition to the Moore family, 2 young girls, Lena and Ina Stillinger, who were 8 and 12 years old respectively, were also brutally killed that night. The details of the crime are not only gruesome, but also perplexing, leading to numerous theories and a plethora of questions that have lingered for over a century. When the morning of June 10th dawned, the absence of the Moores raised alarms in the community. Concerned neighbors knocked on the door, but there was no response. After a thorough inspection, the horrifying truth was revealed. The local church pastor, who was a close friend of the Moores, arrived at the scene and discovered the bloody scene inside the home. The front door was unlocked, and the bedroom windows were covered with curtains, providing little visibility for any outsiders hoping to peek in. The first responders found the 6 bodies lying in the home, each having suffered fatal blows from an axe, with their injuries suggesting a methodical, almost ritualistic killing. The axe used in the murders belonged to the Moore family and was found at the crime scene, further adding an element of horror to this already unspeakable act. The victims had been struck multiple times in their heads, with the severity of the blows indicating a degree of rage or premeditation. The killer even took the time to cover the faces of the victims with bedclothes, suggesting a desire to obscure the violence of their actions. It is reported that he also went into the home's kitchen to clean his bloody hands with a cloth before departing, leaving the community deeply unsettled. As news of the murder spread, the town of Villisca was besieged by curious onlookers and sensationalist reporters clamoring for details. The investigation began in earnest, with local law enforcement and eventually state authorities diving into the case. Several theories emerged, ranging from the possibility of a transient criminal passing through town to a family dispute gone horribly wrong. A significant number of suspects were considered, yet law enforcement could not find enough evidence to bring any of them to justice. Public interest in the case remained high, drawing national attention and sparking numerous newspaper articles, each recounting the grim events of that June night and delving into the lives of the victims. Investigators even considered the possibility that the killer might have been someone local, someone who knew the family and their routines. It was a time when travel was not as common as today, and many theorized that the act was perpetrated by someone who lived nearby. Over the years, various individuals have been implicated as potential suspects. One of the most notable was a man named Frank Jones, a local businessman and former employer of Josiah Moore, who reportedly had a falling out with the Moore family. Others speculated that the crimes might have been committed by a serial killer who had traversed the Midwest, and some even suggested that a member of the community might have had a deeper, more personal vendetta against the Moores. By 1914, the case had turned cold, but it would not vanish from public memory. Various locals and amateur sleuths have attempted to piece together the clues over the decades. Some investigators continue to believe that a significant breakthrough in the case could emerge, while others assert that the mystery surrounding the Villisca Axe murders may forever remain unsolved. As the decades progressed, the Moore home became a site of fascination for paranormal enthusiasts and true crime aficionados. Its history of horror and tragedy has led to ghost tours and investigations. Visitors to the site often share eerie experiences, fueling tales of restless spirits and unexplained phenomena. This intriguing aspect of the case contributes to the ongoing fascination with both the events of that night and the characters involved. Even today, the Villisca Axe Murders serve as a haunting reminder of how fragile life can be, leaving questions lingering in the air. Who was responsible for this terrible act? What drove them to commit such violence? Each year, commemorations and discussions are held in the town, ensuring that the story of the Moore family and their tragic fate continues to capture the public's imagination. What makes the Villisca Axe Murders particularly compelling is not just the brutality of the crime, but also the myriad ways it has been interwoven into popular culture. Books, documentaries, and even fictional works have been inspired by this case, each adding layers of intrigue and speculation to an already complex narrative. The very essence of the case, a small town shattered by violence, a family taken from their community, renders it a poignant tale about loss, fear, and the deep mysteries that sometimes lie at the heart of human nature. As we reflect on events from over 100 years ago, we consider how the past shapes our understanding of security and safety in society. In the case of Villisca, the murky waters of history still ripple with unanswered questions. The echoes of the past are felt strongly in Villisca, where the true story of the fateful night still resonates deeply with its residents and those who come to visit. Whether you are a local, investigating the history of your town, or an outsider intrigued by the true crime genre, the tale of the Villisca Axe Murders continues to captivate audiences. It begs us to understand the fundamental elements of humanity, the good and the evil that can reside within individuals, as well as the connections we share within our communities. It serves as a haunting exploration of the darker sides of human emotion and the deep-seated fears that can arise from untold stories and unresolved mysteries. The unanswered questions surrounding that June night continue to inspire investigation and inquiry, leading to the idea that our history is never truly settled. The Villisca Axe Murders stand not only as a testament to a horrific event, but also as a reminder of our collective desire to find closure in stories that remain shrouded in shadows and uncertainty. The narrative of the Moore family, the tragedy that enveloped their lives, and the quest for justice that has persisted through the years are reminders of the resilience of those who seek to keep the memory of their loved ones alive. In the end, the Villisca Axe Murders intertwine history, mystery, and our deep-seated need for understanding. It is a case that provokes thought and discussion while leaving an indelible mark on the collective memory of a town and its people. The legacy of that night continues to influence storytelling and societal reflections, ensuring that the shadows of the past remain present in our minds. The enduring intrigue over this unsolved case not only highlights the nature of criminal investigation, but also reveals our fascination with the tenacity of the human spirit, which continually seeks answers amid the unknown. In 1946, a wave of fear and mystery swept over the small town of Texarkana, which lies on the border of Texas and Arkansas. This region was seemingly peaceful, characterized by its tight-knit community and picturesque landscapes. However, it became the scene of a series of gruesome events that would haunt townsfolk for years to come, events that would be remembered as the Texarkana Moonlight Murders. It was a warm spring night on the 22nd of February when the first incident occurred. A young couple, Richard Rick Griffin and his girlfriend, Mary B. Jenkins, were parked in the quiet solitude of the area known as Lover's Lane. Many young couples had enjoyed this secluded spot, but on this night, their cherished haven turned into a sight of terror. Their car was discovered the next morning, with the couple brutally murdered inside. Authorities quickly arrived on the scene, and it sent shockwaves through the community. How could something so horrific happen in their town? The murders bore the hallmarks of a serial killer, which led the police to scramble for any leads. They noted the similarities in the crime scene, as well as the chilling message it sent. A predator was lurking just out of view. The nature of the crimes was particularly brutal, involving a degree of violence that struck fear into the hearts of those living in Texarkana. Some townsfolk began to stay indoors after dark, not wanting to become the next victims. As police began their investigation, they turned their attention to other crimes in the vicinity. They discovered that this case was an isolated incident, and it was more than a case of a couple caught in the act of romance. Just over a month later, in March, 2 more young adults met the same tragic fate. Paul Martin and Betty Jo Booker were discovered near the same area, their lives snuffed out in an equally violent manner. The string of murders had an undeniable pattern. Young couples enjoying the sanctuary of the night were being hunted. The fear that gripped Texarkana wasn't just restricted to the victims' families. The entire community felt the weight of uncertainty. Residents began to share stories and rumors about the killer, and many sought to connect with each other for protection. This new normal of tension shifted people's interactions, altering the culture of the town itself. Neighbors who once greeted each other with a nod now exchanged anxious glances, aware that danger lurked in familiar places. In an effort to save their community, local law enforcement collaborated with investigators from both Texas and Arkansas, trying to piece together the frosty puzzle. They scoured the area for any clues, launching a media campaign urging residents to stay vigilant and report anything suspicious. Posters were hung, urging the public to help catch the killer. They even started a reward fund to entice anyone with information to come forward. The case attracted a mix of sensational media coverage, further heightening the panic. Reporters flooded Texarkana in hopes of uncovering stories, as the idea of a serial killer captured public imagination. Different theories emerged, with some suggesting the killer was a local who blended seamlessly into the community. Others speculated the presence of a stranger passing through the area. Over the weeks, several suspects appeared, but the elusive killer seemed to vanish into thin air. Despite the relentless investigative efforts, the case soon became a perplexing riddle. With no clear leads or eyewitness accounts, the investigation began to stall. The community held its breath, waiting for any sign of progress, but as weeks turned into months, hope began to fade. The killer's methods were vicious and calculated. In subsequent weeks, letters began to circulate, taunting law enforcement and hinting at the killer's next moves. The chilling correspondence only deepened the fear and uncertainty among the townspeople, creating an atmosphere of paranoia. As summer approached, the murders seemed to quiet down, but the fear remained. The thought of being targeted began to permeate the collective consciousness of Texarkana. Couples who once frequented Lover's Lane abandoned their spots, seeking safety in numbers or shifting their nighttime activities to brightly lit locations. In the years that followed, various traditional explanations existed for the Texarkana Moonlight Murders. Some theorized that the killer moved on to other territories, or even ceased their activities entirely. Others believed the killer had integrated back into society, living among those who had been unaware of the monster in their midst. The Texarkana Moonlight Murders became the stuff of local legends, a cautionary tale passed down through generations. The chilling events served as a reminder of fragility in the face of mystery and evil. For decades, the people of Texarkana continued to grapple with the unanswered questions surrounding these horrific crimes. The killer remained unnamed, and the story became a haunting specter for the town. With the passage of time, investigators have revisited the case, examining cold case files and utilizing modern forensic techniques in hopes of unearthing new information. The quest for answers remains. Perhaps the past still holds a key to unlock the mystery that the town has long sought to understand. Meanwhile, Texarkana's residents, with their indomitable spirit, rebuilt themselves around the shared trauma. They held vigils, honored the victims, and supported each other through the challenges of remembrance and healing. The story of what transpired in the quiet town of Texarkana remains a poignant reminder of the darkness that can sometimes intrude into everyday life, and the enduring resilience of a community bound by tragedy. The Texarkana Moonlight Murders have woven themselves into the fabric of local history, serving as a chilling reminder of the unknown. The legacy of those lost, intermingled with the lingering questions, continues to influence the culture and psyche of those living in Texarkana, a chorus of voices from the past echoing through time, urging a never-ending search for justice and resolution. With the killer perhaps still at large, the mystery of the Texarkana Moonlight Murders keeps residents vigilant, while also reminding them of the importance of community, safety, and hope. The shadows that linger from that time remind all who hear the tale to cherish each fleeting moment of security and joy, for nothing can be taken for granted. In the small town of Fayetteville, West Virginia, an intriguing mystery unfolded in the years following World War II. On Christmas Eve in 1945, a fire engulfed the home of the Sodder family, leading to the tragic loss of 5 young siblings: Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny, and Billy. This event marked the beginning of a perplexing tale that captures the imagination of those willing to dive deeper into its details. The Sodder family was well known in the community. George and Jenny Sodder, immigrants from Italy, had built a loving home with their 10 children. That Christmas Eve, after a day of festivities, the family gathered to celebrate. Later that night, around 1 a.m., their home was consumed by flames. George and Ginny escaped the fire with their 4 youngest children, but tragically, the 5 older siblings were presumed missing. The official narrative suggested that the 5 children had perished in the fire, as no remains were found in the aftermath. However, George and Ginny were not convinced. The couple presented several compelling reasons to believe that their children had survived. Eyewitness accounts reported seeing the children, alive and well, in the days following the fire. This uncertainty led the Sodders on a quest for answers that spanned decades. In the wake of the tragedy, George began to investigate the possibility that his children had been kidnapped. He recalled a strange man who had been seen around the neighborhood before the fire. This man had reportedly attempted to ask the children for directions, raising suspicions in George's mind. The Sodders also received a series of mysterious phone calls that hinted at something far more sinister than a simple house fire. As time passed, the Sodder family began to receive strange messages and clues that fueled their belief in their children's survival. One of the most notable pieces of evidence was a photograph that appeared in a magazine years later. The image depicted a group of children in a foreign country, and one child bore a striking resemblance to the missing Jenny. George and Jenny sent this photograph to the FBI, but the investigation did not yield concrete evidence. The family's determination to uncover the truth led to the construction of a billboard along the highway, displaying images of the 5 missing children. The billboard featured the message, "What happened to our children?" and served as a daily reminder of their unresolved pain. Over the years, hundreds of tips and leads poured in, ranging from credible sightings to conspiracy theories, keeping the case alive in the public consciousness. In the following years, the Sodder family encountered numerous challenges in their pursuit of the truth. Local authorities were unresponsive, and some townspeople treated the family's search with skepticism. Nevertheless, the Sodders were unwavering in their belief that their children were out there somewhere, possibly living under new identities. This belief was illustrated by a telling detail. The family had received a cryptic letter in 1952, which contained a message and a photograph of a young man who looked like Louis. The letter claimed that the 5 children were safe and living in another country. As decades passed, the story of the Sodder children transitioned from a local tragedy to a fascination for amateur sleuths and true crime enthusiasts alike. Some have speculated that an underground network may have been involved, possibly to harvest children for adoption or other purposes. The case was explored in various media, including documentaries that sought to unravel the truths buried within this chilling story. The mystery of the Sodder children remains unresolved, feeding into the ever-growing files of unsolved cases. Each new generation learns of the story, each person pondering the fate of these 5 missing children. Are they still out there, living new lives? Did they escape a tragic fate? Or did something far more sinister happen on that fateful night? The questions continue to circulate through time, challenging the imagination and prompting a quest for truth. In recent years, modern interest in cold cases has sparked renewed efforts to uncover lost information and find potential leads. For some, the story serves as a reminder of the fragility of family and how quickly things can change. The legacy of the Sodder children endures, and their disappearance remains a reminder of unanswered questions and the relentless pursuit of truth. Thus, the disappearance of the Sodder children is not just a historical mystery. It is a saga of a family's unyielding love and their enduring hope against an uncertain backdrop. The story touches on themes of loss, love, and relentless pursuit, while weaving in the mystery that surrounds their fate. The Sodder children became more than just names. They became part of a broader narrative, one that resonates with anyone touched by the stories of the missing and unexplained. As you ponder their story, consider the echoes of their lives and the profound impact they had, not just on their family, but on the community, state, and an entire nation that has followed this tale through the years. The search for truth often leads us down unexpected paths, urging us to delve deeper into the mysteries that shape our lives and the stories that weave us together. The Monster of Florence is one of Italy's most notorious criminal enigmas, encapsulating a terrifying series of unsolved murders that haunted the region of Florence from 1968 to 1985. This saga involves a chilling blend of grisly homicides, a baffling investigation, and a landscape rich in history and culture, creating a story that has captivated both locals and true crime enthusiasts for decades. The tale begins on a warm June night in 1968 with the discovery of two lifeless bodies in a parked car near Florence. The victims, a young couple named Antonio Lobianco and his girlfriend, are found brutally murdered in what appears to be a crime of passion. Their deaths mark the beginning of a haunting pattern, as more young couples fall victim to a shadowy figure dubbed Il Mostro di Firenze, or the Monster of Florence. Over the following years, a series of similar murders emerge, all exhibiting the same chilling characteristics. The victims are often couples parked in secluded areas, revealing a calculated method of operation. The killer targets young lovers, a detail that lends a poignant sense of tragedy to the already horrific events. As the years progress, bodies pile up, and the fear of the monster grips Florence, weaving itself into the fabric of the city. By 1985, a total of 7 confirmed murders, with a possible connection to other crimes, are attributed to this elusive figure. Each crime scene is marked by horrific violence, and the manner of the killings leaves investigators puzzled. Insiders describe a killer not just motivated by anger or jealousy, but rather someone whose motives are shrouded in mystery, leading to rampant speculation and endless theories. There are elements of ritualistic behavior, such as the removal of specific body parts from the victims, which introduces an unsettling layer to the crimes. This pattern has led some investigators to believe that the Monster of Florence may have ties to occult practices or deeply ingrained psychological issues. Over time, the investigation draws in numerous detectives, journalists, and amateur sleuths, each attempting to decipher the workings of this diabolical mind. As the story unfolds, much of it is intertwined with the rich and historical backdrop of Tuscany. This beautiful region, celebrated for its art, architecture, and landscapes, contrasts sharply with the gruesome events gripping its communities. The picturesque countryside and enchanting vistas provide a stark reminder of how evil can linger beneath the surface of even the most serene settings. An extensive media frenzy follows the murders, bringing widespread attention to the case. Newspapers publish harrowing details, and television programs delve deep into the unsolved mysteries that haunt the city. Public interest surges, and the panic grows among the local populace, as every young couple fears becoming the next victims of the monster. The heightened media coverage transforms the Monster of Florence into a cultural phenomenon, leading to a plethora of books, documentaries, and even fictional adaptations attempting to unpack the chilling reality of the case. As investigators take on the case, various leads emerge, some leading down dark and twisted paths. Certain suspects are scrutinized over the years, each heralded as a potential catch. However, despite the many theories and investigations, the monster remains elusive. The intrigue and tension swell as each potential lead turns cold, leaving the investigators and the public desperate for resolution. One intriguing theory suggests that the killer may have had a background in the medical profession, given the precision with which some of the crimes were executed. This speculation adds another layer of complexity to the case, leading investigators to explore connections between local hospitals and clinics. However, despite exhaustive interviews and investigations, this lead too eventually dissipates into uncertainty. The case becomes emblematic of the challenges surrounding criminal investigations. An interplay of psychological, cultural, and emotional factors can often complicate the pursuit of justice. Family traditions, societal expectations, and a deep-rooted sense of honor create a complicated backdrop for each investigation, as the pressure to maintain order in society weighs heavily on law enforcement. Throughout the years, advances in technology and forensic science allow for renewed interest in cases once believed to be permanently unsolvable. As DNA technology emerges, it brings hope that the Monster of Florence might finally be apprehended. Investigators revisit old evidence and begin reanalyzing biological samples. Each small breakthrough reignites the public's interest and offers a glimmer of hope that long-hidden truths may finally be uncovered. Yet, despite the advancements, the monster remains at large, his identity still obscured by a veil of mystery. Some speculate that the crimes are not the work of a single perpetrator, but rather the actions of a group, leading to debates about the complexities of human behavior and the nature of evil. This idea introduces a chilling thought that the monster could be a part of a cycle of violence that has existed far beyond the picturesque landscapes of Florence. As theories abound and speculations continue, the laneways of Florence serve as a haunting reminder of the dreams and aspirations lost to violence. For many, the Monster of Florence represents not only the terror of unsolved murders, but also a broader reflection of human darkness and the fragility of life. It serves as an unsettling narrative about desire, betrayal, and the dark shadows that can lurk in the corners of the human soul. Today, the legacy of the Monster of Florence lives on, as new generations become captivated by the unresolved murders. Documentaries, podcasts, and fictional retellings ensure that the stories of the victims are not forgotten. It is a tale steeped in mystery and tragedy, compelling us to explore deeper themes of love, loss, and the darkness that can exist within even the most idyllic communities. As you delve into the story of the Monster of Florence, remember that it is not just a tale of horror. It challenges us to confront our understanding of human nature, the impact of fear on communities, and the relentless quest for justice that seeks to uncover long-buried truths. Each story, each victim, draws us into the world where the light and the dark intertwine, illustrating that sometimes, behind the beauty of life, sinister shadows can lurk. In the end, the quest for answers continues, echoing through the stunning landscapes of Tuscany, always searching for the elusive truth that lies beyond the shadows. In the 1970s, Oakland County, Michigan became the haunting backdrop to a series of tragic and unsolved murders that chilled the community and captured national attention. These incidents, known as the Oakland County Child Killer cases, involved the abduction and murder of at least 4 children between the ages of 10 and 12 years. Each of these heinous acts not only shattered families, but instilled fear in the hearts of many, prompting a widespread outcry for justice and security for children. The story begins in the late winter of 1976 when a young boy named Mark Stebbins, just 12 years old, went missing after leaving his home to visit a friend. His body was discovered days later, hidden in a nearby industrial area. Mark had been abducted, and the coroner's report indicated that he had been subjected to significant trauma. The details were gruesome, and the community was left alarmed and desperate for answers. As weeks turned into months, the fear intensified when 2 more children vanished, 10-year-old Joe Robinson and 12-year-old Timmy King. Both were last seen in their neighborhoods, and similarly to Mark, their bodies would be found in vacant or secluded areas. Each case bore clear similarities, creating a pattern that sparked panic among parents and law enforcement officials alike. All 3 children had been picked up by someone who had lured them to a familiar location, a methodical approach that indicated a possible predator who understood child behavior. In the spring of 1977, the nightmares continued when another child, 11-year-old Christine Adams, was taken. Her disappearance marked yet another blow to the community, raising questions that demanded answers. Why were these children targeted? Who was responsible for such heinous actions? As law enforcement scoured for leads, they were met with a deluge of tips from concerned citizens, yet none seemed to lead to a substantial breakthrough. As the investigation progressed, authorities employed numerous strategies in an effort to generate information. They launched a media campaign that featured sketches of a man who had been seen in the vicinity of the children shortly before their disappearances. This image became hauntingly familiar to many, leading to sightings and tips, yet still, no solid leads materialized. The tension reached a peak as the public grappled with the realization that a potential monster walked among them, blending into their communities. The Oakland County child killer case was further complicated by the frustration of false leads and misinformation. People speculated about the identity of the killer, and various theories circulated. Some placed blame on local residents, while others suggested the involvement of someone from outside the community. The cases caught the attention not just of local media, but also national news outlets, drawing in amateur sleuths and criminologists beset with theories that strained to connect the dots. In 1978, after a lengthy and exhaustive investigation, authorities announced a potential break in the case when they triggered a more extensive look into sexual offenders in the area. This initiative was essential, given that many child abductions and murders remain linked to those with criminal backgrounds. Yet the search for the perpetrator continued to hit dead ends, and the families of the murdered children continued to suffer from grief and unanswered questions. Years passed, and despite advancements in forensic technology, no significant progress was made in identifying the killer. The case became a haunting specter of unresolved trauma in the Oakland County area. The investigations had not only involved local law enforcement, but had reached into broader networks across the state, with teams of detectives sharing notes and theories in hopes that one small clue might lead to a breakthrough. Community support for the families remained strong throughout the decades. Vigils were held, and events dedicated to raising awareness created a network of solidarity around the idea that such tragedies should never occur again. Many parents became proactive, instilling safety precautions in their children, and the events spurred changes in local policies regarding child safety and public awareness programs. As time marched on, the legacy of the Oakland County child killer continued to cast a long shadow. Cold case teams revisited the files, re-examining evidence with modern techniques. In an age where DNA profiling and advanced investigative methods became standard, hope rekindled that solutions might one day emerge from the ashes of despair. Each lead, no matter how small, reignited public interest in the cases and underscored the profound impact these events had on the community. The timeline for these tragic murders showed a clear pattern. The children were snatched away on days that were otherwise mundane, signifying that danger could hide in plain sight. The loss was not just of lives cut short, but of an innocence swallowed by fear and uncertainty. Families not only mourned their children, but also mourned the childhood of everyone in the community. Once filled with laughter, playdates, and bike rides, now shadowed by an ever-present sense of caution. As the investigations have continued over the years, theories about the killer's identity have evolved, each asserting different motives and backgrounds. Some have suggested that the nature of the crimes indicates a calculated predator, while others argue for connections to organized crime, given the brazen circumstances surrounding the abductions. However, despite endless efforts by law enforcement, the absence of sufficient evidence has left many questions unanswered. The Oakwood child killer case remains a haunting reminder of the vulnerability of children and the darkness that can manifest in society. Numerous documentaries, podcasts, and books have tackled the subject, seeking to shed light on the events and gather fresh perspectives. Each retelling of the story fuels public interest, encouraging the hope that one day the answer to the mystery will surface. In Oakland County, there is a palpable sense of resilience among those who remember. The community has made strides in ensuring the safety of children and continues to advocate for advancements in investigative techniques. Local law enforcement has emphasized a commitment to solving cold cases and is dedicated to providing justice for the victims and their families. As technology continues to evolve, there may be a glimmer of hope that one identity may finally be extracted from the shadows. As the years continue to unfold and technology further progresses, the cases of the Oakland County child killer remain etched in the collective memory of a community determined to move forward while never forgetting the innocent lives lost. The pursuit of justice, fueled by the enduring hope of the victims' families and advocates, reflects a deep-seated acknowledgement of the past, coupled with the drive to create a safer future for all children. The story serves as a crucial chapter in understanding the complexities of crime, community, and the unyielding resilience of those impacted by profound tragedy. On the chilly evening of November 24, 1971, a man known only as D.B. Cooper orchestrated a heist that would become one of the most infamous unsolved mysteries in American history. His audacious act aboard a Northwest Orient Airlines flight from Portland, Oregon, to Seattle, Washington, not only captivated a nation, but also left behind a trail of questions that have persisted for decades. While Cooper's fate remains a mystery, a tangible piece of his escapade endures the treasure he disappeared with. As the story goes, Cooper calmly boarded the plane, and after takeoff, he handed a note to a flight attendant, claiming he was armed. In a world where hijackings were rare, his confidence bewildered everyone on board. After revealing a bomb in a briefcase, he demanded $0.000 in cash, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck standing by in Seattle to aid in the getaway. The authorities complied, and the passengers were released, but Cooper, along with his money and parachutes, would soon vanish into the night. The events that unfolded subsequently added layers to the mystery. Once the money was secured, and the plane in the air again, Cooper instructed the pilots to fly at a low altitude and slow speed. Shortly thereafter, he executed one of the most remarkable escapes, leaping into the dark sky with a parachute and a satchel of cash. But where did he go? And what happened to the treasure? In the aftermath, the FBI launched an extensive investigation that spanned years. They combed through the hints and clues Cooper left behind. Despite extensive searches of the remote areas of Washington state, no conclusive evidence emerged of his fate, and the mystery deepened. Over time, a dedicated community of amateur sleuths has risen to investigate the nuances of this case, hoping to unearth the hidden treasures of D.B. Cooper. A key element in the pursuit of Cooper's treasure lies in understanding the geography of the area he parachuted into. The rugged, forested landscapes of the Pacific Northwest, pose both obstacles and opportunities for concealment. Could it be that he stashed his ill-gotten gains in one of the many hidden valleys? Or perhaps near a riverbank, where the murmur of rushing water would easily cover the sound of any digging? The possibilities are endless. Theories abound regarding Cooper's fate and his treasure. Some speculate that he might have succumbed to the elements after landing, failing to survive in the wilderness. Others suggest he could have been a former military operative, skilled in survival tactics, who managed to evade capture and live under the radar for years. Clutching his cash, did he start a new life? Or did he bury the treasure, leaving the location a secret for decades? As time passed, bits of evidence surfaced, tantalizing treasure hunters. In 1980, a young boy found a decaying packet of 0 bills on the Columbia River bank, confirming that some of Cooper's money had indeed survived the journey. The serial numbers matched those of the ransom paid to Cooper. This discovery raised more questions than answers. Who was Cooper, and was he still out there? Did he conceal more of the treasure elsewhere? The legends surrounding the D.B. Cooper mystery are also fueled by the fascination with crime and the elusive nature of fugitive stories, the thrill of the chase mixed with the somber reality of disappearance. Each year, countless individuals embark on treasure hunts inspired by the possibility that some of Cooper's cash still rests hidden, waiting to be unearthed. Several stories have surfaced over the decades about possible sightings of Cooper. There are tales of a man who closely resembled him spotted in different places, often dressed in the era's style, perhaps with intent to blend in. These sightings provoke imaginations and fuel the narrative that Cooper lived among us, or at least had significant encounters post-heist, weaving between lives, always just out of reach. Books, documentaries, and internet forums continue to explore the enigma of D.B. Cooper, each piece adding texture to the narrative. The allure of the unsolved invites people from different walks of life to dive into research, piecing together fragments of a possible treasure hunt tied to a real-life drama. Moreover, the combination of law enforcement's involvement and public speculation generates a rich tapestry of ideas that keeps the legend alive. In discussing the idea of treasure, one considers what it represents. For some, it's pure material wealth, the thrill of monetary value. For others, it embodies adventure, the spirit of exploration, and the challenge of discovery. The prospect of unearthing D.B. Cooper's hidden treasure combines these elements, becoming a symbol for the intrepid and curious. Moreover, some treasure hunters seek something beyond wealth, a piece of history, a connection to the past, and the opportunity to step into Cooper's shoes, if only for a fleeting moment. They embark on quests armed with maps, theories, and equipment, hoping that each step might bring them closer to their goal. The journey itself becomes a treasure, where excitement and anticipation mingle with history and culture. As new generations discover the story of D.B. Cooper, the legacy continues. Modern technology aids in the endeavor, with aerial surveys, drone photography, and crowdsourcing knowledge and tips online. Could the keys to his treasure be hiding in plain sight, just waiting for someone to notice? In every nook and cranny of the rugged Washington terrain, there are whispers of adventure, a lingering reminder of the man who captivated a nation. The D.B. Cooper saga highlights the thrill of the unknown and the allure of hidden treasures. An enigma wrapped in dark mysteries, it continues to bewitch those eager to unveil its secrets. In the end, whether the treasure is ever found or not, the story remains a tapestry that ties people together in curiosity and adventure, a reminder that sometimes the chase is just as rewarding as the discovery itself. The chronicles of D.B. Cooper illustrate not just a heist gone awry, but a story of intrigue that invites the world to wonder what lies beneath the leafy canopies and rivers of the Pacific Northwest, prompting each of us to consider, what secrets does the wilderness still hold? In February 1957, a chilling discovery was made in a wooded area of the Fox Chase section of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The police were alerted to a disturbing sight, a cardboard box, weathered and unassuming, concealed among the trees. Inside that box was the lifeless body of a young boy, estimated to be around 4 to 6 years old. This tragic case would come to be known as the boy in the box, and it remains one of the most haunting, unsolved mysteries in American history. The boy was depicted as having light brown hair and blue eyes, and he was found naked except for a plaid blanket wrapped around him. Initial examinations revealed that the child had suffered severe abuse. Bruises covered his body, suggesting he had endured a terrifying existence leading up to his death. The circumstances surrounding the boy's death and the mystery of his identity would captivate the nation and draw attention from all corners. Authorities quickly began their investigation, combing through the area for any clues that could lead them to the child's identity or the circumstances of his death. They released sketches and photographs of the boy in the hopes that someone would recognize him. This publicity, however, yielded few results initially. Local residents were horrified but also deeply sympathetic, and many began to call him the boy in the box, a term that would become ingrained in the tale of his tragic fate. After weeks of investigation, the authorities made a few surprising discoveries. A blanket found with the boy's body was identified as a specific type of blanket manufactured in a Philadelphia-based factory, suggesting that the child might have been a local. Furthermore, a coroner's report determined that the boy had likely been dead for several days before his body was discovered. A sense of urgency mounted as investigators realized they were dealing with a case that went beyond just one child. It represented the loss of innocence, the breakdown of safety for children, and a community desperate for answers. Adding to the complexity of the case were various leads and tips that poured in. Some witnesses claimed to have seen the boy or suspected they knew his identity, yet none were confirmed. A number of theories emerged about his background. Some suggested he may have come from an abusive home, while others thought he might have been a victim of a kidnapping. Each revelation only added to the puzzle and the heartbreak surrounding the boy's fate. As the investigation progressed, police began to piece together tidbits of information based on witness accounts. One particularly unsettling lead involved a woman who reported seeing a child matching the boy's description in a nearby parked car days before his body was discovered. This launched an even wider search, as authorities began scouring the city for missing children that might align with the boy's appearance, but none fit. The boy in the box was buried in a small cemetery in Philadelphia, and community members rallied around his memory, feeling a deep sorrow for the unnamed child who had suffered so greatly. His grave eventually became adorned with flowers, toys, and other mementos left by caring individuals, all mourning the loss of a life cut short and the identity of a child who had gone unnoticed for too long. The case took on a life of its own, inspiring numerous theories, articles, and even books as amateur sleuths and concerned citizens hoped to find truth in a story that many felt should have been resolved. In the subsequent decades, as advances in forensic science emerged, the case was revisited on several occasions. Various techniques, including DNA analysis, brought new hope that the boy could finally be identified. Family members of missing children in the area were tested in hopes of finding a match, yet each attempt ended without resolution. Additionally, multiple exhumations of the boy's body provided valuable insights, but ultimately led to more questions than answers. Time has done little to erase the haunting image of the boy in the box. He transformed from a tragic story into an enduring symbol of the need for justice and compassion toward vulnerable children. The Philadelphia Police Department has kept the case open, categorizing it as an active investigation and urging anyone with information to come forward. Each new lead is pursued diligently, but as years pass, the memories of those who might have known the boy fade. Public interest continues to play a role in this unresolved mystery. There are those who feel that the child deserves to be remembered, that his story should be told not just as an unsolved case, but as a reminder of the importance of child welfare. Discussion around the case has fostered awareness and advocacy for talking about child abuse and neglect, shining a light on the critical need for protective measures for children. In media and literature, The Boy in the Box has inspired various works exploring his story, as well as the emotional and psychological ramifications of unaddressed trauma in society. More than just a cold case, his story reflects the loss of so many innocent lives that have suffered in silence, and the work that remains to protect children today. Every year, on the anniversary of his discovery, people gather to remember the boy in the box. They hold vigils, share stories, and hope that one day, the mystery surrounding his identity will be solved. The legacy of the boy serves as a clarion call, reminding us to be vigilant, compassionate, and proactive in ensuring that every child's voice is heard and that they are safe from harm. It is a somber reminder that even in a world filled with darkness, there are those who continue to seek light, justice, and closure for the innocent. In the early 1970s, New York City was shaken by a series of mysterious and chilling murders that became known as the Alphabet Murders. This tragic tale revolves around the brutal killings of 3 young girls, all of whom were found in the same area, and each victim's name began with the same letter, the letter A. This strange pattern in the naming of the victims not only captured the attention of the public, but also led to a great deal of speculation and intrigue surrounding the case. The first victim was found in December 1971. Her name was Alice, a young girl just in her early teens. She was described as vibrant and full of life, with dreams of becoming a dancer. Sadly, her life was cut short in a violent incident that left her family and community in bewilderment. The circumstances surrounding her death were harrowing. She was discovered near a local park in an almost unimaginable turn of events for a child so innocent. Just a few months later, in February 1972, another girl was reported missing. Her name was Anne, and like Alice, she was just on the brink of adolescence. With a similar backstory of innocence and promise, Anne's disappearance sent shockwaves through the community. The search for Anne was frantic, culminating in distress and horror when her body was eventually found. The similarities between the two cases were uncanny and left detectives in New York puzzled and disturbed. Both girls had been taken under similar circumstances and were ultimately found close together, intensifying the feeling of dread that enveloped the city. In April of the same year, the final name in this tragic trio surfaced: Amanda. She was also a young girl with aspirations and a lively personality, loved by her friends and family. Her disappearance came as the community was still reeling from the previous murders, and anxiety levels had reached a boiling point. The incidents surrounding Amanda's case were particularly shocking, as the hunt for her had escalated quickly, drawing more attention from the media and law enforcement alike. When authorities confirmed that Amanda had also been murdered, the fear and panic among the population became palpable. As the investigation unfolded, some aspects of these cases captured the interest of criminologists and amateur sleuths alike. Could there be a connection between these girls? What was the motive behind these horrendous acts? Detectives soon uncovered a pattern that pointed to the possibility of a serial offender, although the lack of substantial leads made it incredibly challenging. The cities were gripped by paranoia, as parents feared for their children's safety, and the pressure on the police mounted immensely to catch the person responsible. With no clear suspects and limited evidence, the investigators relied heavily on the cooperation of the community. Neighborhood meetings were organized to discuss ways to promote safety and awareness. Flyers were distributed and hotlines were established for tips. Throughout this time, the media played a significant role in keeping the names of these young victims in the public consciousness. The staggering frustration on part of the investigators was compounded by the public outcry for justice. Each time a new detail emerged, it seemed to generate more questions than answers. As the years rolled by, the Alphabet Murders became a chilling chapter in New York's history. The cases were discussed in true crime forums and retrospectives, with many people remaining fascinated by the seemingly random connection between the victims' names. Onlookers have been driven by curiosity and horror, and new generations began poring over the unsolved cases. Some even speculated that the cases may not have been linked at all, while others held fast to the eerie coincidence of the names. Over time, investigators have reviewed old evidence, looking for advances in technology that could shed light on these cold cases. DNA analysis, which was not available in the early 1970s, has redefined the parameters of many murder investigations, providing new hope that perhaps one day, the true story behind the Alphabet Murders would be revealed. Despite all the attention and speculation, the story of Alice, Anne, and Amanda remains one of New York's most heart-wrenching mysteries. The unresolved nature of their murders continues to captivate the hearts and minds of people who strive for closure. The echoes of their lives serve as a reminder not only of the fragility of innocence, but also of the unresolved questions that linger long after the tragedies occur. Each case reminds us to look out for one another, to cultivate vigilance, and to carry the memories of those lost with us, ensuring their stories are told and remembered. These events from the 1970s continue to spark interest in documentaries, podcasts, and books, drawing the attention of a new audience eager to understand what happened. The societal impacts of such tragedies extend beyond the immediate families affected. They ripple outward, touching friends, classmates, and entire communities. The Alphabet Murders serve as a point of reflection on safety, childhood, and the unseen dangers lurking within society. As time moves on, the hopes for resolution in these cases may become optimistic. Yet the haunting memory of those three young girls, each marked by their tragic demise, lives on in the hearts of many. Their stories weave a compelling narrative that combines elements of crime, mystery, and unspeakable loss. What remains is the constant search for answers, driven by humanity's enduring quest for understanding in the face of unfathomable despair. While the mystery of the Alphabet murders remains unresolved, the impact of these events continues to make waves, influencing how communities respond to crime, safety, and justice. The Colonial Parkway, a picturesque roadway in Virginia, is celebrated for its stunning views and rich history. Spanning 23 miles, this scenic drive connects historic Yorktown, Colonial Williamsburg, and Jamestown, making it a popular destination for tourists and locals alike. However, behind its beauty lies a dark history, a series of unsolved murders that have haunted this idyllic landscape for decades. The story begins in the late 1980s, a time when the tranquility of the Colonial Parkway was shattered by a shocking crime wave. Between 1986 and 1989, 4 young couples became victims of a series of brutal murders. Each case carried a common thread, yet the true motives and identities of the perpetrators remain elusive. The fear that gripped the community has lingered, leaving behind a chilling legacy. The first victims were 27-year-old Kathleen Crowell and her boyfriend, 28-year-old Buck McCullough. Their tragic end came in October of 1986 when they decided to enjoy a quiet evening together on the Parkway. When their car was found later, it sparked a massive search, eventually leading to their bodies being discovered. The circumstances surrounding their deaths were haunting, but what made it more perplexing was the lack of evidence that could point investigators in the right direction. In July of 1987, just a few months later, tragedy struck again. This time, the victims were a young couple, 21-year-old Rebecca Williams and 22-year-old Thomas Tommy McCauley. They had set out for a romantic evening on the Parkway, only to have their plans turned into a nightmare. Their vehicle was located abandoned, igniting another frantic search. Authorities soon discovered their remains, and the similarities to the previous case sent shockwaves throughout the area. The community was gripped with fear as it became clear that there was a predator lurking in the shadows. As the investigations continued, it became apparent that the cases were interconnected. Each victim was young, vibrant, and full of life, yet they all met with untimely and tragic ends. The authorities theorized that the crimes were the work of a single perpetrator, but with limited evidence and no suspects, the investigations stalled. The Parkway, once a place of romance and adventure, transformed into a site of terror. In 1988, the pattern of violence continued. The murders of another couple, 18-year-old Dave Nobbling and 17-year-old Robin Edwards, added to the growing list of victims. They had gone missing while enjoying a night out, and their families were left in despair. The discovery of their remains in the vicinity of the Parkway raised even more questions. Why were these young couples targeted? What connection did they have to the Parkway? It was as if an unseen hand had reached out to snatch away their lives. As the years went by, investigators tried to piece together the fragmented evidence. They explored various theories and examined possible motives, yet every lead seemed to hit a dead end. The case grew cold, but the families of the victims refused to let the murders be forgotten. Their tireless efforts to seek justice echoed throughout the community, urging others to remember the young lives that were lost far too soon. Over the past 3 decades, new advancements in forensic science have rekindled hope among the families and the investigators. Techniques that were not available during the initial investigations have provided fresh opportunities to analyze evidence that was once deemed unusable. The possibility of new leads and breakthroughs offers a glimmer of hope for those seeking closure. The Colonial Parkway murders have not only affected the families of the victims, but have also left a lasting imprint on the fabric of Virginia's history. The allure of the Parkway continues to draw visitors, but there remains an undercurrent of unease among those familiar with its darker history. More than just a scenic route, it has become a somber reminder of lost lives and unresolved mysteries. Various documentaries, articles, and podcasts have delved into these chilling events, shedding light on the individual stories of the victims and their families. The public's fascination with true crime has led to renewed interest in the case, prompting amateur detectives and armchair criminologists to examine the details. The stories serve as a poignant reminder that behind any intriguing landscape there can be stories of darkness and despair. Calls for cold case reviews have become prominent among those who wish to see justice. Efforts to engage the communities along the Parkway have been made to keep the memory of the victims alive, ensuring that their stories are not just part of a tragic history, but reminders of love and life now lost. The emotional weight of these unsolved crimes continues to resound, as families, friends, and advocates keep pushing for answers that they deserve. The Colonial Parkway murders are deeply woven into the tapestry of Virginia's past, and they serve as a stark reminder of the fragility of life. Each victim was a unique individual, with dreams, ambitions, and loved ones. As investigations evolve and technology advances, the hope remains that one day, the hidden truths behind these unsolved cases will finally emerge, bringing closure to the families and peace to the Parkway itself. As you travel along the Colonial Parkway, take a moment to appreciate its beauty, but also remember the lives that were lost too soon. The haunting echoes of laughter and love remind us of the necessity to seek understanding and justice, even in the darkest of situations. Only through remembering the victims can society begin to honor their memories and strive for a world where such tragedies become a thing of the past. Nestled within the Atlantic Ocean, the Bermuda Triangle has garnered a notorious reputation for its mysteries and unexplained phenomena. This region, often defined by the points of Miami, Bermuda, and San Juan, Puerto Rico, has become the center of countless tales of ships and planes that seemingly vanish without a trace. The stories surrounding these disappearances are steeped in intrigue and speculation, capturing the imaginations of adventurers, scientists, and the curious alike. One of the most famous incidents in the Bermuda Triangle's history dates back to December 5, 1945. A group of 5 TBM Avenger torpedo bombers known as Flight 19 set off from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, on a routine training mission. As they flew over the waters of the Triangle, the pilots reported strange compass readings and disorientation. The planes eventually became lost, and despite efforts to locate them, they vanished into the vast expanse of the ocean. A rescue plane sent to find them also disappeared under mysterious circumstances. This event, known as the Flight 19 incident, has sparked endless speculation and investigation, making it one of the most iconic examples of the enigma surrounding the Bermuda Triangle. But Flight 19 is just one of many stories. In the early hours of January 30, 1948, a British South American Airways passenger plane named Star Ariadne set out from Bermuda bound for Jamaica. After the last communication with air traffic control, the plane suddenly disappeared. An extensive search effort revealed no sign of either the aircraft or its 31 passengers. The incident has puzzled investigators for decades, leading to theories ranging from mechanical failure to more supernatural explanations. Moving forward in time, in 1918, the USS Cyclops, a Navy cargo ship, sailed through the Bermuda Triangle while carrying a full load of manganese ore from Barbados to Baltimore. The ship had over 300 men on board and was reported to be in good condition. However, it never arrived at its destination. Despite being one of the largest ships in its fleet, the USS Cyclops vanished completely, and no wreckage was ever found. Many speculate that the ship fell victim to the powerful storms that frequently sweep through this area, but the absence of evidence has left room for alternative theories. The Bermuda Triangle has not only captured the interest of those studying maritime phenomena, but has also found its way into popular culture. Books, movies, and documentaries have delved into the mysterious nature of this region. Some have proposed that the triangle's unusual reputation might be attributed to large underwater gas hydrates that can create dangerous situations for ships. According to this theory, these gas formations can erupt, reducing water density and causing ships to sink almost instantly. The 20th century brought further intrigue with the disappearance of commercial and private aircraft. One such aircraft is the Douglas DC-3, a commercial flight that went missing in 1948. This plane disappeared under similar circumstances to others in the area, leaving investigators searching for both answers and wreckage to piece together the mystery. Many have theorized about the cause, ranging from weather issues to human error, yet none forms a complete narrative that everyone agrees upon. In spite of the many incidents, some researchers argue that the Bermuda Triangle is not particularly more dangerous than any other heavily traveled region of the ocean. They point out that thousands of ships and planes traverse this area without incident every day. Yet, the allure remains, attracting thousands of tourists each year seeking to experience the mystique for themselves. Over the years, the Bermuda Triangle has been the focus of countless investigations. Many theories have emerged, ranging from natural explanations involving swift currents and sudden storms, to more fantastical ideas involving extraterrestrial activity and lost civilizations. Some even suggest that the area is home to the mythical city of Atlantis, theorizing that advanced technology could be responsible for the unusual phenomena reported there. One intriguing aspect of this region is how atmospheric conditions create unique optical and navigational illusions. The combination of the angle of the sun, the reflection of water, and cloud cover can produce misleading visual effects, confusing pilots and sailors. This can contribute significantly to accidents, as navigators may misjudge their location and make erroneous decisions that could lead to disaster. As we delve deeper into the myths and facts surrounding the Bermuda Triangle, we uncover elements of human nature that fuel the fascination with this enigmatic place. Each disappearance sparks the imagination, leading people to ponder the unknown. What awaits beneath the waves? What secrets does the ocean harbor? These questions linger long after a story is shared, prompting discussions that span generations. While many scientific explanations exist to demystify the incidents that have occurred in the Bermuda Triangle, the allure of the unknown continues to draw researchers and enthusiasts. The feelings of wonder and curiosity persist as humanity remains fascinated by the mysteries of our world, particularly those swathed in shadows and speculation. As we wrap up our exploration of the Bermuda Triangle, we realize that it is more than just a location on a map. It represents a gateway to the unknown, a physical space that challenges the boundaries of understanding. The tales of those lost echo through time, fueling our innate desire to discover more about our planet and the uncharted territories that lie within. It reminds us that while we may seek answers, sometimes the mystery itself is the most intriguing part of the journey. So, whether you view the Bermuda Triangle as a scientific puzzle or just a captivating story, it undoubtedly invites deeper contemplation about the world's wonders and secrets. In February 2017, the small town of Delphi, Indiana, experienced a tragic event that would forever change the community. The day began like any other for two young girls, Abigail Williams and Liberty German, both only 13 years old. They were enjoying a day off from school, looking forward to spending time together outdoors. The two decided to take advantage of the beautiful weather by exploring the area around the Monon High Bridge Trail, a place they often visited. The bridge, an old railway structure, is located near a picturesque setting, surrounded by trees and the peaceful sound of the creek below. It was a popular spot for locals, particularly among young people and families. As the girls strolled along the trail, they likely felt a sense of adventure and freedom. However, their day of exploration would come to a harrowing end when they went missing. When the girls did not return home that evening, their families became worried and reported them missing. The community rallied together, with volunteers searching the nearby woods and trails, using flashlights and calling out their names, hoping to hear a reply. Local authorities were notified, and search teams were deployed. The hope that the girls would be found safe kept spirits high, as the search continued into the night and into the following day. Tragically, the search ended in heartbreak. The bodies of Abigail and Liberty were discovered on February 14, 2017, near the Delphi Historic Trail, just a short distance from where they were last seen. The news spread quickly through the small town and beyond, sending shockwaves throughout the community and raising questions that remain unanswered to this day. Law enforcement officials immediately began an investigation into the tragedy. They worked tirelessly, poring over evidence, interviewing witnesses, and combing through the surrounding areas. As the investigation unfolded, the detectives sought to identify any suspicious individuals who may have been in the area on that fateful day. In the days following the discovery of the girls' bodies, the case garnered national media attention, drawing people from all over the country who wanted to help find justice for Abigail and Liberty. As community vigils were held to honor the memory of the girls, they became symbols of hope and resilience for the small town of Delphi. One significant piece of evidence that captured widespread attention was a recording found on Liberty's phone. Authorities revealed that she had managed to capture video footage of their abductor during their last moments. This crucial evidence became a focal point of the investigation, leading to the release of a still image of a man believed to be connected to the crime. The image showed a person wearing a blue jacket and a hoodie, with a cap pulled low over his face, walking along the bridge. Along with this image, a haunting audio clip emerged, where a man's voice could be heard saying, "Down the hill." This phrase sparked intense speculation and discussion throughout the community and online. Despite the efforts of law enforcement and the community, the case grew cold. Numerous tips were received, with many people coming forward to share what they knew or had heard, but none led to a definitive breakthrough. The investigation became a complex puzzle, filled with potential suspects, theories, and much public interest. Yet clarity remained elusive. Various groups and amateur sleuths attempted to analyze the evidence, to find new connections or interpretations that may help solve the case. Many people from across the country followed the story, contributing to online forums and launching podcasts, all dedicated to resolving the mystery of the Delphi murders. The unsolved nature of the case fueled discussions about community safety and the importance of vigilance, particularly regarding young people and outdoor activities. The families of Abigail and Liberty have continued to advocate for justice, participating in events to keep their daughters' memories alive, while working to raise awareness about the case. They sought to ensure that their daughters are not just a tragic statistic, but rather a call to action for communities everywhere to protect children and to remain vigilant. In 2019, the Delphi case took another turn when a new potential suspect was announced. The police released a sketch of a man they believed might have vital information regarding the case. This announcement reignited hope among the community, drawing renewed interest from the public and additional media coverage. The sketch showed a man with facial hair, prompting fresh tips and ideas, though it returned us once again to the reality of an unresolved case. Over the years, the Delphi murders have sparked conversations around many related topics, including the importance of ethical investigation methods, how trauma impacts communities, and how justice can sometimes take time. Various documentaries have attempted to shed light on what happened, aiming to explore the backgrounds of the two girls and the circumstances surrounding that fateful day in February. As time continued to pass, Abigail Williams and Liberty German became symbols of resilience in the face of tragedy. Community events honoring the girls brought people together to share in their grief, but also their determination to ensure that their memory would never fade. They are remembered not just for the tragic end of their lives, but as vibrant young individuals who brought joy to those who knew them. The case remains open as the community and authorities continue to seek closure, embodying the hope that one day justice will prevail for Abigail Williams and Liberty German. The investigation is a reminder of how deeply a tragedy can impact not only families, but entire communities. Every year, on the anniversary of their passing, the communities of Delphi and beyond come together to remember the girls, lighting candles and sharing memories, reaffirming their commitment to finding justice. The tragic tale of Abigail and Liberty serves as a poignant reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of holding on to cherished memories. It highlights the profound impact that loss can leave on families and communities, urging constant vigilance while fostering a spirit of hope. The Delphi murders remain unsolved and unresolved, standing as an enduring mystery that continues to capture the hearts and minds of people everywhere. They remind us that there is still much work to be done to ensure safety for all, particularly for our youth, while instilling a sense of unity, compassion, and hope for a better tomorrow. In the heart of New England lies Vermont, a place known for its stunning landscapes, vibrant fall foliage, and, unbeknownst to many, some intriguing mysteries. Among these enigmas is the story of the Vermont Long Trail, a hiking path stretching over 270 miles from the Massachusetts border to the Canadian border. This scenic trail, winding through lush forests, over rugged mountains, and past tranquil lakes, has drawn countless outdoor enthusiasts. However, it has also become the backdrop to a number of mysterious disappearances that have captured the attention of hikers, locals, and curious adventurers alike. The Long Trail, which was completed in 1930, is celebrated for its natural beauty and challenging terrains. Its rugged stretches offer breathtaking views and a chance to connect with nature. It attracts hikers of all skill levels, from seasoned mountaineers keen on tackling the steep ascents to families looking for a peaceful nature walk. Yet, amidst the trail's allure, stories of individuals who have vanished without a trace have surfaced, leading to speculation and intrigue surrounding these chilling events. One of the earliest reports of a mysterious disappearance along the Long Trail dates back to the mid-20th century. A young man, passionate about hiking, set out on a solo journey, eager to explore the breathtaking landscapes. Friends and family eagerly awaited his return, but days turned into weeks, and the worry deepened. Despite extensive search efforts involving local authorities and volunteers, no trace of him was ever found. Rumors began to circulate, sparking conversations about the dense wilderness and its hidden dangers. Over the years, other stories emerged, each with its own unique twists. The 1980s saw a rise in similar tales, as hikers reported encountering unexplained phenomena. Some spoke of feeling as though they were being watched while navigating isolated sections of the trail. Others recounted strange noises echoing through the trees, causing a shiver down their spines. These accounts, combined with the disappearances, created a sense of unease among the hiking community. As hikers continued to embark on the long trail, tales of the unexplained grew. In the 1990s, another adventurer vanished while attempting a famed section of the trail, known for its beauty, but also its treacherous terrain. Friends remembered him as a cautious and experienced outdoorsman, making his disappearance all the more baffling. Despite thorough searches, his last known location remained a mystery, vanishing like a whisper into the woods. The incidents often led to discussions about the psychological effects of solitude in nature. Many wondered if the isolation could lead to disorientation or poor decision-making. The long trail, with its remote beauty, can indeed immerse hikers in profound quiet that resonates deeply within. Some believe that this solitude may evoke emotional experiences that can cloud judgment, leading individuals into precarious situations. In recent years, the stories continued with the mysterious disappearance of a group of hikers. Friends who planned a fun-filled trip to bask in the beauty of the long trail suddenly found themselves in a frenzied search when one member failed to return at the agreed time. As hours passed, their laughter turned to panic. Emergency services were summoned, and a search party combed through the dense foliage, only to come up empty-handed. The entire group was experienced, yet one person seemingly vanished right before their eyes, raising more questions than answers. As explorers shared these mysterious tales, some suggested that the area might hold secrets deeper than the earth itself. The indigenous peoples of the region have long told stories of spirits that dwell in the woods, guardians of the land watching over those who tread too deeply. To some, the long trail has become a metaphorical bridge between the visible world and the unseen realms, where the boundary is thin and realities start to blur. Local residents have since become the keepers of these stories, connecting curious newcomers with their chilling histories. Some towns near the trail have embraced the legends, organizing gatherings and sharing tales around campfires on summer nights. Enthusiasts of the outdoor adventures relish in discussing the mystery, drawing both a sense of camaraderie and caution. Despite the eerie tales, the long trail continues to attract hikers from all walks of life. It is a testament to the human spirit and the longing for adventure, coupled with a natural curiosity about the unknown. Hikers gear up, equipped with essential supplies and a sense of fearless exploration, while quietly acknowledging the inexplicable experiences that envelop the trail. The allure of Vermont's long trail lies in the perfect blend of natural beauty and layered narratives, with each bend in the path holding the potential for discovery. The attempts to uncover what happened to those who vanished propel exciting conversations and explorations, while the call of nature remains an irresistible force. As you journey through the stunning landscapes of Vermont, envision yourself walking alongside these past adventurers, whose spirits may still linger in the crisp mountain air. The shadows of the trees sway gently as you stroll, and whispers of the wilderness beckon you to engage in its rich tale. Even as you traverse the trail, the legacy of those who wandered and perhaps lost reminds you that every adventure holds an element of the unknown. No definitive answers may ever unravel the mysteries of the Vermont Long Trail. Each disappearance adds to an ever-growing tapestry of stories that fuels curiosity and caution alike. The secrets of the woods continue to capture hearts and minds as fresh generations step onto the path, engaging with both the beauty of nature and the mystique of the unknown. So as you prepare for your own adventures, let the echoes of the past serve as reminders of the wilderness's dual nature, a place of breathtaking beauty and profound mystery. The Vermont Long Trail holds a promise of exploration and enlightenment, drawing seekers into its embrace, while reminding us that every step taken within its bounds is part of an extraordinary narrative that continues to unfold. The murder of Teresa Halbach is a case that has captured the attention of many and continues to spark debate even years after the events took place. At the center of this complex story are themes of justice, media influence, and the intricacies of the American legal system. Teresa, a young photographer, went missing in 2005 in Manitowoc County, Wisconsin, after visiting the Avery Auto Salvage Yard to take pictures of a vehicle for sale. Her disappearance marked the beginning of a tragic timeline filled with twists and turns, introducing a cast of characters whose lives became intertwined with this heartbreaking narrative. As the investigation into Teresa's disappearance unfolded, law enforcement quickly focused their attention on Stephen Avery, a man who had been previously wrongfully convicted of a crime. Avery had spent nearly 18 years in prison before being exonerated through DNA evidence. His controversial history and subsequent arrest for Teresa's murder added layers of complexity to the case, putting a spotlight on issues of wrongful convictions and the reliability of a justice system that seemed to fail him before. The charge against Steven Avery gained further attention when his nephew, Brendan Dassey, was implicated. Brendan, who was a minor at the time, became the subject of intense media scrutiny and public debate. His confession, which many argued was coerced, raised questions about the techniques used by law enforcement and the overall fairness of the interrogation process. The emotional and psychological impacts on Brendan and his family began to unfold, painting a picture of a young man caught in a system far beyond his control. As the trial began, the media frenzy surrounding the case escalated, fueled by the release of the Netflix documentary series, Making a Murderer. The series presented the narrative from multiple angles, exploring the lives of Steven Avery, his family, the Halbach family, and even the investigators involved in the case. Many viewers found themselves captivated by the layers of the story, often taking sides in the debate about Avery's guilt or innocence. The reaction to the series was powerful and divisive, leading to discussions about morality, ethics, and the implications of sensationalized media coverage on legal proceedings. In the documentary, viewers were introduced to key players on both sides. Teresa Halbach's family was presented as a grieving group of loved ones seeking justice for their daughter and sister. Their heart-wrenching interviews and emotional testimonies emphasized the impact of her murder and the challenges they faced in the wake of such loss. On the other hand, Steven Avery's family provided insight into his upbringing and the complexities of their experiences as the trial unfolded, revealing their perspectives on the situation. Throughout the proceedings, the legal strategies employed by both the prosecution and defense drew attention to issues of evidence and the burden of proof. The prosecution's case relied heavily on circumstantial evidence, including testimonies and various forensic findings. The defense, however, sought to dismantle the narrative being built against Avery, arguing that there was reasonable doubt surrounding his guilt. The battle in the courtroom showcased the emotional toll taken on all parties involved, as well as the broader implications for the justice system. As the world became engrossed in the courtroom drama, it also raised questions about public perception and the role of social media in shaping opinions about guilt and innocence. Supporters of Steven Avery organized campaigns advocating for his freedom, while others vehemently believed in his culpability. The divisions created by the case highlighted how powerful narratives can affect individual lives and the essential questions surrounding justice in contemporary society. As the trial concluded, the jury's decision shocked many, with Steven Avery being convicted of first-degree murder. The verdict served as fuel for the already heated conversation about wrongful convictions and the treatment of individuals within the justice system. The case continued to unfold in the years following the trial, with Steven and Brendan both pursuing appeals in hopes of overturning their convictions. The impact of Teresa Halbach's murder stretches beyond the individuals directly involved. It has become a symbolic emblem of the potential flaws and pitfalls within the justice system. Conversations sparked by this case compel society to consider the nature of evidence, the ethics of law enforcement, and the repercussions of sensationalized media narratives. The ongoing discussions about the importance of a thorough and fair legal process reflect the broader concerns of justice and human rights, emphasizing the need for reform and accountability. The murder of Teresa Halbach has left a mark not just on the people in her life, but also on a national level, pushing viewers and citizens alike to reevaluate beliefs surrounding innocence and guilt. The story resonates deeply, tapping into universal themes of love, loss, and the quest for truth. Each new development continues to evoke a spectrum of emotions, ensuring that this tragic event will not soon be forgotten. As the years progress, the once clear-cut case remains shrouded in ambiguity. Those invested in the story continue to seek clarity and resolution, reinforcing the idea that some mysteries are never truly solved. The legacy of Teresa Halbach lives on, provoking reflection on the complexity of human experience and the intersections of tragedy, justice, and societal perception. This case serves as a poignant reminder of the fragility of life and the enduring implications of our choices and actions. Thus, it invites all of us to explore not just the events of that tragic day, but the deep-rooted lessons that can be learned in its aftermath. In the quiet, remote region of Bavaria, Germany, an unsettling event took place in 1922 that continues to baffle and terrify people even to this day. It is the story of the Hinterkaifeck Murders, an unsolved mass murder that strikes a chord not just because of its brutality, but also because of the eerie circumstances surrounding it. Picture a secluded farm, tucked away from the hustle and bustle of modern life. Hinterkaifeck was this farm, and it was home to the Gruber family. The family consisted of Andreas Gruber, the patriarch, his wife, Casilia, their widowed daughter, Victoria Gabriel, and her children, 7-year-old Casilia and 2-year-old Joseph. They led a simple life, working hard to maintain their farmland amidst the scenic yet isolating woods that surrounded their home. As you envision this peaceful setting, take a moment to think about the stark contrast that would soon follow. Just months before the crime, Andreas Gruber began to express concern about strange occurrences on the property. He mentioned hearing mysterious noises coming from the woods. Footprints in the snow, leading towards the house but not away from it, sparked his curiosity and fear. These signs should have acted as precursors to the horrific events about to unfold, yet life on the farm continued, perhaps too naively. In March of that year, something unimaginable happened. The family was brutally murdered, and the remoteness of their farm compounded the horror of the crime. The details are chilling. The bodies were discovered after several days, and the local residents were left in disbelief. It was as if a mainstay of their community had been ripped apart by a dark force. The investigation that followed was one of the largest and most complex in Germany at the time. Yet, despite extensive inquiries and multiple theories, no suspects were ever definitively identified. The method of the murders was particularly brutal. The family members had been killed with a mattock, a heavy gardening tool, and the intent behind the violence was baffling. Why would anyone commit such a horrific act against a family that seemed to be like any other? Was it personal? Did someone harbor a deep-seated grudge? The questions multiplied. Adding layers to this already intricate narrative are the eerie elements that surrounded the case. After the murders were discovered, local villagers recounted strange happenings on the farm. The animals were found alive, yet the house sat in unsettling silence. It seemed as though the farm itself carried an omen of otherworldly gloom. People claimed that they could hear cries emanating from the house during the night, and stories of a haunted farm emerged from the shadows of fear. As the news spread, it drew curious individuals and amateur sleuths to Hinterkaifeck, each attempting to piece together the puzzle in their own way. Word of mouth soon turned to speculation, leading to a variety of theories about who could have committed such a gruesome act. Some believed it was an escaped convict seeking revenge, while others thought it was a local resident who had a vendetta against the family. With no concrete answers, the case became a subject of fascination, inspiring countless articles, books, and documentaries that dissected the events and puzzled over the motives. One particularly intriguing line of thought revolved around an alleged connection between the Grubers and a family feud or possible inheritance dispute. These conjectures are steeped in the kind of drama that makes one ponder the complexities of human relationships in isolation. What happens when desperation and jealousy brew undetected within the confines of a small community? Furthermore, rumors surfaced about a stranger seen near the farm shortly before the murders took place. This fleeting glimpse became an enigma, and police began canvassing the area for witnesses who could provide clues. The investigation reached a fever pitch, yet each lead seemed to crumble under the weight of uncertainty. As months turned into years, the case transitioned from an active investigation to a chilling ghost story that haunted the townsfolk. The question of why these murders remain unsolved looms large. The adequacy of the police investigation is often criticized, with some suggesting that the authorities may have overlooked vital details. Eyewitness accounts and inconsistencies contributed to growing frustrations, leading to widespread speculation about how such a heinous crime could ever go unpunished. Each year, curiosity about the Hinterkaifeck murders only grows. Urban explorers and thrill seekers continue to visit the site, hoping to capture a glimpse into the past, or perhaps even connect with an unsolved mystery. The farmhouse, long abandoned, stands as a relic of a time frozen in tragedy. Features of the building, such as its haunted exterior and the spectral atmosphere that surrounds it, are compelling explorations for those seeking both thrill and historical insight. The influence of the Hinterkaifeck murders on culture and the arts is profound. It has given rise to films, novels, and theatrical productions, each interpreting the events through varying lenses. For writers and filmmakers, the enigma proves rich territory, combining the inherent thrill of the unknown with the fascination of exploring human darkness. Even more compelling are the psychological angles that artists and theorists have attempted to delve into. What motivates a person to commit murder? What circumstances could lead one to unleash such violence upon another? These are not easy questions, and they hover over the Hinterkaifeck case like storm clouds, inviting contemplation. The story of Hinterkaifeck is woven through modern folklore. It encompasses themes of domestic life juxtaposed against horror, becoming a captivating nexus where curiosity meets dread. Various theories will likely continue to emerge as long as people are drawn to this dark narrative. Each thought woven into the larger tapestry gives the tale an ever-evolving texture that captures imaginations. As time moves on, the echo of the Hinterkaifeck murders remains a poignant reminder of a tragedy that still reverberates through history. It serves as a testament to how unsolved mysteries can linger in our collective psyche, enticing us to search for answers in every dark corner. The allure of the unknown continues to reign, leaving one to wonder if we will ever truly understand the haunting silence that fell over Hinterkaifeck on that fateful night in March 1922. On a sunny January day in 1966, a seemingly ordinary trip to the beach turned into one of Australia's most puzzling mysteries. The Beaumont children, siblings Gein, Arna, and Grant, had ventured out for a day of fun and relaxation at the popular Somerton Beach near Adelaide, with the warmth of the sun shining down on them. Gein, the eldest at 9 years old, was tasked with looking after her younger siblings, Arna, who was 7, and Grant, only 4. As the children played along the shoreline, the atmosphere was cheerful and carefree. They splashed in the water, built sand castles, and enjoyed their time playing together. Their parents, Jim and Nancy Beaumont, had given them permission to go to the beach, trusting that they would return home after a delightful day. This day, however, would take a troubling turn that would forever change their lives. As the afternoon sun began to dip lower in the sky, the children's parents grew anxious when their children did not return home. Hours passed, and darkness began to settle in, but there was still no sign of Gein, Arna, and Grant. Initially, their parents thought the children might have simply lost track of time, but as the minutes stretched into hours, concern grew rapidly. Jim and Nancy made the decision to report their children missing. The search for the Beaumont children commenced quickly. Local authorities, including the police, organized search parties to comb the beach and its surroundings. The search extended beyond the beach and to the nearby parks and neighborhoods. For days, volunteers joined the efforts, hoping to find any trace of the siblings. Posters were put up, and a media frenzy erupted as news spread of the children's disappearance. The quaint town of Somerton Beach, known for its serenity, was shrouded in an air of tension and concern. Despite the widespread search and the publicity surrounding the case, there were no concrete leads. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, the community began to grapple with an unsettling reality: the Beaumont children might never return. Theories and speculation started to circulate. Some believed the kids had wandered off and gotten lost. Others feared that they had been taken by a stranger. The notion that someone could vanish without a trace sent shivers down the spines of many. One of the theories involved the sighting of a suspicious man by a witness at the beach on the day of the disappearance. This led to speculation that he might have lured the children away. Descriptions of this man varied, but many shared a common thread that this mysterious figure seemed to be watching the children from a distance. Despite extensive police efforts, this person was never identified, leading to further anguish and anxiety in the community. As the case progressed, various leads emerged, but no concrete evidence was found to guide investigators closer to the truth. Over the years, the case saw its share of false alarms. Various individuals came forward claiming to have information, and there were reports of possible sightings of the children in different locations. But these leads ultimately led to dead ends. In a twist of fate, in the 1980s, an anonymous letter surfaced, suggesting that the children had met a tragic fate and were buried in a specific location. This information prompted renewed searches. Yet again, the hopes of the community were dashed when nothing was discovered. The letter only added layers to an already perplexing mystery, illustrating the lengths to which uncertainty can affect the lives of those left behind. The impact of the Beaumont children's disappearance went beyond the immediate family. It transformed the lives of thousands of people in Adelaide and beyond. Schools implemented new safety measures. Parents became increasingly cautious about their children's activities. The disappearance of the Beaumont children resonated through the community, impacting the culture of trust and safety that many had previously enjoyed. As years passed, the investigation was revisited periodically. Cold case units examined the case with fresh eyes, employing modern forensic techniques in hopes of uncovering new evidence. Retired detectives occasionally renewed their interest, hoping that new technologies or methodologies might yield results. Yet with each passing year, the case became more and more of a haunting reminder of innocence lost. Documentaries, books, and podcasts have delved into the mystery of the Beaumont children, exploring the case from various angles. Investigative journalists have sought to shed light on unsolved cases, hoping to engage the public in helping find answers. Engaging storytelling has not only kept the case alive in people's memories, but has also served as a reminder of the importance of vigilance and community efforts. In the realm of true crime, the Beaumont children's case stands as a stark example of an unsolved mystery that deeply impacted a community. The combination of hope, despair, and intrigue surrounding their disappearance continues to captivate audiences. Today, the children are remembered not just as victims of an unresolved case, but as symbols of a time when families felt a greater sense of security, a time that many wish to reclaim. Although decades have passed, the unfinished narrative of the Beaumont children remains a chilling chapter in Australia's history. It serves as a poignant reminder of the fragility of life, the innocence of childhood, and the perpetual quest for answers in the face of uncertainty. As new generations emerge, the stories of the past live on, encouraging empathy, awareness, and a shared responsibility to protect the vulnerable. To this day, the Beaumont mystery endures as a haunting tale of loss, eluding resolution, and compelling many to ponder the profound questions surrounding the whereabouts of 3 children and the impact of their absence on the lives of those who love them. The journey for those seeking resolution speaks to the resilience of the human spirit and the enduring hope that someday the truth will be uncovered.